right. Welcome to Retro Spectacles. I am Mitch Marzoni, and with me, as always, with a pickaxe to the center of the earth, uncovering the hiddenest of gems, is Mr. Teddy Tutson. How are you today, sir?
Oh, man. Shout out Jules Verne, man. We journeying straight to the center of the earth. We out here. Pickaxe, Jacques Cousteau. Pick your poison, baby. We out here. 1999. We go party like it's 1999. Third shout out, hat trick, Prince. What up, son? We doing it. A heck of a year for the box office for cinema. We've been hurtling towards this for a minute. You was talking about 99 when we was dabbling in the other decades. Here it is. Culmination. Retro Spectacles.
Now, admittedly, I do not know. I don't know as far as box office numbers what 99 looked like. My references I'm sure.
Crazy.
My references to 99 had zero to do with box office, and
I know,
and almost entirely to do with cultural impact. It feels like if I'm at a party and we're talking movies, 5 minutes will not go by without somebody mentioning an all-time great that was released in 1999. That's largely
and truly, that is the beauty of 99, because you get these movies that have incredible cultural impact, not just in the years that they were released, but in the coming years, right? When you get to cable and the syndication and DVDs. And then you also have these incredibly, successful commercial movies. It's sort of the best of both worlds if you're talking about a year for movies, right? And I know you be wanting to wait on the, the rundown on what the year looked like, but maybe you want to start with the 99 recap before we get into it, since it was such a year for the culture and for the box office.
Give me your rundown.
All right. Well, look, this is. I want to know.
I don't know how long this is going to take, so I'm curious.
Sure.
But.
No, we go run through it. No, we go start at the top, son. Top 20 domestic gross USA.
Okay.
Number
right.
one at the box office. 99.
I was worried you meant when you said top. I was worried you're like in January on the 1st.
No, we're not going through a monthly recap. No, we're not going through the Gregorian calendar here. Look, top of the box office. 99. Mitch Marzoni, not yet jaded and fully cynical about what had happened to this franchise. What was at the top?
What was the top? I'm probably Lost World then.
Episode 1.
Episode 1 was, I thought it was 99. I wasn't sure if it was 98 or 99.
That's 99. Did
it come out in 98 and then roll over to 99? It's one of those? Or did it come out in 99?
I'm pretty sure episode 1 came out in 1999, man. That's the whole point of what we're talking about.
All right.
Look, yeah. I'll double check here, but yes, it's 99. Yeah.
I mean,
released in the summer of 99.
In some regards that makes a lot of sense, but in others it throws me off because
May
I'm like,
May 1999.
Yeah, but I'm like,
feel like I'm crazy.
No, it's not that. I remember it came out and everybody that I knew was like, "You're a Star Wars guy. Have you seen Phantom Menace?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've seen Phantom Menace." And they're like, "I haven't seen it yet." And I'd be like, "I'll go see it again." So I saw it like 8 times. But I must have done it like within the first 2 months of it coming, maybe a month and a half of it coming out, because I left, I moved to Seattle in 1999 in like, I want to say July or maybe August at the latest.
Okay, that's where we're at on the map. That's what I was wanting to figure out.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, I went to the cinema quite a bit on group trips with the people I was living with in Seattle. I mean, more so
than
a commune I had. During the commune. Yeah.
So during the commune era, you said, "Hey guys, let's drop the pitchforks and the working, and let's go check out Phantom Menace." We coming back. George Lucas coming back.
Most of the chaos and the madness of that house, it didn't really start coming down heavy on me until 2000. But okay,
in 99, you were just footloose and fancy free, watching Star Wars on the commune. Contributed to one of the greatest years.
Before I moved in, or before I even met the commune, I had seen it with a bunch of people.
Let's run through the rest of 99. All right, you stop me if there's anything that you really want to dive into. 6 Cents. We just go in top 20 domestic grossing, right?
I remember that.
Shyamalan.
American Pie would be in there, I'm guessing.
American Pie is in the top 20 towards the bottom. Shout out Chris Klein. We about to be talking about you, homie.
Austin Powers, that would have been the second one?
Austin Powers, number three. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Yes, that was the number 3
that's
grossing
number 2.
movie.
Oh.
It's the number 3 grossing movie.
Okay,
it's the number 2 movie.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yes, Austin Powers,
the second Austin Powers. Okay.
We're doing, we're doing it.
Throwing my brain all off the whack.
Let's round out your top 5. Toy Story 2.
Okay.
The Matrix.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, we're also talking about Tarzan. This the Phil Collins, soundtrack killing it, Tarzan. We talking about Big Daddy, Adam Sandler, okay? We talking about The Mummy, right? We talking about Runaway Bride, okay? Now, close out your top 10. Here's a little fascinating nugget. Blair Witch Project.
Yep, remember that.
What a top 10. To your point, you're talking about movies that just come up all over the place, right? Parties, water cooler, all that kind of stuff. This is it. Now, we'll speed run through the rest of it. You got a James Bond in there at number 12, American Beauty at number 11, right? Green Mile. We get a Julia Roberts double dip with Notting Hill, okay? Then we get Double Jeopardy. Shout out Ashley Judd, the greatest. Tommy Lee Jones at the halfway house, son. She out there in the rain. I can't die. Ain't nothing driving you but spite, honey. One of the greatest all-time movies. Damn right it's in the top 20. Then we get Ficky Wild Wild West. Will Smith, Desperado. We get Analyze This. You called out American Pie. And then we close out with Stuart Little and Inspector Gadget.
Oh, okay.
What a year. What a year. And what a slate for our 2 films in the final run of Hidden Gems.
We're starting off with one that didn't have a chance at whispering to the top 100. This would be the 1999. Now, I wouldn't even call it a sleeper hit, just a sleeper, just a teeny smallest movie by budget and box
critical
office
darling
that we've ever covered.
And Mitch, to just expand the scope a little bit before you name the name, not in the top 20, but the cultural conversation piece, right? Fight Club, Being John Malkovich, Magnolia, The Iron Giant, Boys Don't Cry, Talented Mr. Ripley, Eyes Wide Shut, The Insider, okay? Rushmore.
I would have called out
technically
Fight Club
late
and
98, but come on, son. There it is. What?
I said I would have called out Fight Club and Being John Malkovich. I would have called those out.
We also got Cider House Rules. So just a strong movie year. Not just if you're looking at the box office, mojo, receipts, whatever but if you're just looking for water cooler, cultural impact, long tail, right? Which is a perfect setup for a movie, a character, a dissection of America, culture, political, what have you, right? That to this day still resonates and is cited. Mitch's pick, 1999 darling, Election.
Now, I right off the bat have to say, not my by any stretch favorite movie of 1999, but as far as
nobody out here crushing you like that
as a hidden gem, it was a toss.
I didn't preface it as your favorite.
No, but I'm saying just for the people at home.
Okay.
For those out, Retropolis.
It was Megalopolis.
It was like it was between this and Being John Malkovich, but I was like, this is even more obscure than Being John Malkovich. And I'm sure we're gonna.
I think it's significantly more obscure. I will say, right to the point that we're discussing, Being John Malkovich does not even crack the Best Picture nominees for 1999, right? Right. And in a year like the current one that we have, where it's 10, you absolutely would see probably Election, Being John Malkovich included in a Best Picture slate. But you had American Beauty, Cider House Rules, Green Mile, The Insider.
And not in 1999. I don't think. Even if you had 10, you'd still be like, I got 9 other picks. They would go ahead of Being John Malkovich, I could see being higher up there, but election, I don't think that gets on the ballot,
man. We'll see. We'll get into it.
So, interestingly, written and directed by Alexander Payne, who would then go on to make About Schmidt and a real big hit, as far as critically speaking, Sideways, which I have read as I read once that the reason it was so beloved by critics is that it's basically sucking off critics. It's like a worship of snobby critics. And I'm like, that tracks. Because I couldn't quite, I liked the movie, but I couldn't quite get my hands around, like, why was this so, like, beloved by the critics? And then I read that article and I was like, okay, that stands to reason. But it was also, so it was written and directed by him, but it was also co-written by a guy named Jim Taylor, who worked with him on About Schmidt and Sideways. So similar to going back to The Island with Michael Bay, the dream team got put together for election.
I love that you will have to reference that the Michael Bay Island is now the blueprint for the dream team coming together. I will say one of my favorite moments so far is you being like, it's not like Spielberg was out here. He's in the movie. He's the EP. You can't like.
I hate every time I've listened back to that. And I say it, and you're like, "That's right, he was there." And I was like, "God damn it! I should have picked anyone else. I should have said Christopher Nolan.
Anybody else in the world?
I should have said Kubrick.
The guy involved. You had the whole industry."
This is $8.5 million budget, 15 mil box office. It doesn't matter worldwide or domestic. They did not bother shipping this one overseas. They were like, no one outside of America is even going to remotely understand this movie.
Oh, no.
Even Canadians would be like, what's a school election, eh? I mean, I have no idea. Do they have student body presidents in...
I gotta imagine. Look, I've watched. Have you not seen Degrassi? They have the same kind of high school archetypes in Canada as they do here in America. Okay. I don't know if they have the same tropes of who they elect, but yes, they are familiar with student body presidents, homecoming elections, things of that nature.
I love that the first 30 seconds of the film, we get a full circle Matthew Broderick voiceover. We were introduced to him. Now, you know what I mean? We were introduced to him as Ferris Bueller with the voiceover of like, "Hey, I'm cool. I got the Ray-Bans. I'm skipping school. I drive my friend's Ferrari." You know what I mean? And here he is on completely the other side of that spectrum. Just a dopey, do nothing goober teacher and his little,
which is so great, right? He is total opposite of Ferris Bueller here. Kind of the same way we were talking about Michael J. Fox, right? Like, I do think this is one of Matthew Broderick's finest performances. It's right up there with Ferris Bueller. It's right up there with Glory, with him leading to 54, right? I will say, I had a conversation with a friend of mine about that movie a long time ago, and I was talking about Glory, and he was like, "The Matthew Broderick film?" And I was like, that is maybe the whitest thing that's the whitest way you could possibly describe Glory.
Are you sure that wasn't just me?
I know 100% it wasn't you. I know for a fact it was not you. If you listen,
I feel like I said the same thing. The Matthew Broderick movie?
You might have been. I mean, look, it wasn't you for sure who said that, but
us whites,
I do think it's interesting.
Us whites love us.
You love you some Matthew Broderick. Now, the other thing that I think is interesting that I have a lot of notes about, right? That I think this movie does incredibly well. And that I think Alexander Payne is just masterful in executing is multiple narrators with the conflicting POVs, right? Like, this is a movie that's been on my list for a while. Maybe this is my version of you never having seen Shawshank. But Rashomon, right, is sort of the blueprint for this style thing when everybody talks about having sort of multiple narrators in that regard. But having 4 narrators in this movie, it's just incredible. We get Tammy.
Yeah.
we get 4, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's so well done in how it's blended and how it advances things. It doesn't ever feel like they're just sort of like sticking it in for, the sake of it being there. But I think it is a phenomenal use of Matthew Broderick's talents to have him narrating, right? And then I think also the suburban landscape, the Ferris Bueller, and seeing this guy go from being super grandiose to kind of just being a bit of a mediocre goober, right?
Yeah. Well, he is teacher of the year 3X, so he makes that clear.
I mean, okay.
He's like, I was teacher of the year 3 times in my 12 years. You're like, that's pretty good.
Yes.
That's every 4 years essentially.
Bad.
That's not too shabby.
Yes.
My mom got that.
That's not too shabby. That's a solid track record.
She was teaching for a lot longer than 12, so she'd be upset.
He's okay. Okay. You're saying mediocre goober is a bit of an aggressive characterization?
No. As like a person, he's a mediocre goober. As a teacher,
great, thank you. Okay, I'm talking about the total. I'm talking about the man. I'm not talking about the educator. I'm talking about the man.
I feel like to be a good teacher, you got to have strong goober energy.
You got to be earnest, and I think this is where it would be goober, derogatory, non-derogatory. So, to be a teacher, you've got to have a bit of a non-derogatory goober disposition. But in this case, right, this is, what's old boy's name in this? Is it Jim? Is that the teacher who Matthew
Jim sounds
plays in
right?
this one?
Yeah, Mr. McAllister is what I wrote down, but Jim McAllister
right?
sounds right. Yeah.
Jim McAllister is definitely got goober derogatory energy. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Now we start off very early. The introduction to Tracy Flick, Reese Witherspoon's character, is Mrs. raises her hand all the time, and she has this quote early on. I didn't write it down exactly. I didn't write it down at all, but I'm just remembering in my head something about essentially destiny's going to happen. Destiny is like, things are going to happen such and such a way. You can't stop destiny, but if you get in the way of it, you're just going to get hurt. Like you're just going to break your leg or whatever. Like something bad's going to happen to you, but destiny's going to keep on going. How true does that ring to you?
I can claim that I actually wrote the quote down without exactly writing it, unlike you, apparently, because
I got what the broad
I have
strokes.
Here, you got the broad strokes. Look, I wrote down about that quote specifically. Tracy Flick's quote sounds real Trumpian.
Yeah.
And I think one thing with the Tracy Flick archetype that I was sort of watching anew with this movie, and, it's still, coming up on, right, it's over 25 years old now. And just seeing the overall impact of the Tracy Flick character, it's like there are so many things with the Tracy Flick character that is sort of right-wing Republican coded, but in many respects, she has a very sort of liberal disposition. And so it kind of, right, like, is the Hillary Clinton evolving from Goldwater girl in her youth to more of a sort of liberal end of the spectrum style thing, and how she has this sort of fixation on competency, right? But there's also all sorts of hierarchical things in there. I mean, Tracy Flick has the resonance of Tracy Flick is really great. I think there was, the novel described here. Yeah, because I was really fascinated by this, right? Her worldview is described as pragmatic and Republican adjacent, prioritizing competence over ideology, right? Which, if you were talking about that quote in the context of the Republican Party today, that shit is the exact opposite of how they operate, son. We don't give a fuck about competency. It's ideology or bust, son. I don't care how loyal to the game you've been. If you not with the squad still, if you out here being like, excuse me, should we be tracking the hurricanes and shit? Get your bitch ass the fuck up out of the party. Ironically, Tracy Flick, who would have been a Republican in many respects in Omaha, Nebraska, right? You could have called it, and she could have been a Reaganite. She could have been out there with fucking Alex P. Keaton hanging out and that shit. That woman has been excised from the Republican Party. She gone. She might be clinging on to the party. She a Liz Cheney, bro. Like she might just be like, I can't change the registration. That's what we've been. That's my family. My grandpappy. He was.
I don't recognize none of you motherfuckers. But I'm not voting Democrat.
But I can't. Oh my God, son. Y'all really want me to make me to pull the lever for Kamala? I might have to do it. She out here watching The View, and she yelling at Elizabeth Hasselbeck in a way she ain't never yelled at nobody in her life, son. I ain't know Elizabeth Hasselbeck's still on The View. But whoever is the token Republican woman on The View, she out here being like, I disagree with this woman more than I agree with her all the time now. What happened to me? What happened to me?
Where's my America? Yeah, that'd be a woman without a country at this point. Yeah.
I think what was really interesting is sort of looking into it more, right, is obviously very cultural touchstone role for Reese Witherspoon. You know, she's talked about having like type A personality now as a big producer with all the stuff that she's doing and really just sort of evolving as a, you know, power player in Hollywood, right? I thought it was fascinating to learn that she did not originally want to get the role of what she had with Tracy Flick. She went in for Tammy because she thought that, you know, Tammy's whole thing in sort of the anarchic speech and stuff, that was it. And so like she kind of had to get pushed into being Tracy Flick.
I think she's perfect as Tracy Flick. She's got the all-American face. I think, I mean, and especially, I think there's an argument to be made that Tracy Flick went on to be Legally Blonde.
Well, I think you can definitely see a through line there, right? Like Reese Witherspoon's career, she has Fear, she has Freeway. She's sort of in a little bit of a, you know, call it maybe a slump if you want to, right? And so this
Best
sort of
Laid Plans,
opportunity comes along.
Her follow-up movie, Best Laid Plans, is fantastic. If you haven't seen that one,
but like this, I think. To your point, this is sort of when the Reese Witherspoon that sort of becomes establishes as like an America's sweetheart style Reese Witherspoon as we know her. I think you can absolutely, and there's not that much time apart, right? Like this is 99, Legally Blonde is 2001. It's not crazy to see the momentum coming in there, but she also talks about how, you know, besides being drawn to Tammy Meltzer, she really also could not get anything until Legally Blonde because all the casting directors thought that she was Tracy Flick, right? There's, I think, a quote that I saw where she was like, I'm not Tracy Flick. I couldn't get jobs for a year after that because people thought I was that crazy and angry, which, you know, tough break when you do your job so well. People are like, damn, woman, you tripping.
Again,
we see this a lot, right? You see this a lot.
If they only watched Best Laid Plans, it would be a very different world. That was
only every casting director could just have you go back in time between 99
I don't know about
and
this.
2001.
I saw Election. I don't need Tracy Flick in this movie. I'd be like, go watch Best Laid Plans. She plays two different people in that. But I'm saying Tracy Flick herself, just outside of the one scene we see her in college where she pops out with the curlers and she's like, keep it down. I'm writing. And I'm saying that Tracy Flick, if you gave her a couple of beers and she kind of got over herself a little bit, she would become the girl in Legally Blonde.
Oh yeah,
I think Tracy Flick doesn't become that.
Tracy,
you know.
Here's the perfect through line, right? Is like, who is, you know, we're not getting to the end yet, right? But the Tracy Flick that we see at the end, who's now moving in, you know, the upper society, the upper echelon of Georgetown and these political circles, right? Like before maybe she gets there.
In a limo with a Republican senator.
Right. Yeah. Like when she gets to college in the Legally Blonde arc of the Tracy Flick, you know, and Elle, is that her name in Legally Blonde? It escaped me right now, I think. But like when she gets to college, right? Like, yes, like she has a couple beers and now she's suddenly gotten out of the stodgy, you know, persona that dogged her entire life. And now she's a human and she's letting loose in that regard. Yeah, you could see that for sure.
When I saw this, there's a line in the part of the introduction of Tracy Flick that always squicked me a little bit. And even today, watching it again, even though I use the word all the time, especially in my professional life, when he goes, another thing you need to know about Tracy is, and then they cut to the other teacher who's like, her pussy gets so wet. You're just like, oh God, oh, get it off me. I need a shower. Okay. But yeah, that particular smash cut still gets me. I don't know how that read to you.
I think I thought a lot about specifically younger generations, watching movies, right? When you talk about the sort of discomfort around things, movies being super hyper sanitized, what you could do versus now. I'm thinking a lot about like the post Me Too stuff and the age gap discourse that you've seen where people are like, oh, I'm 25 years old and this 30-year-old hit on me. And you're like, grow the fuck up. Like there are real actual age gaps out there, but some of the things that come across my feed, I'm like, I need respectfully a lot of you to just grow the fuck up. And right. So I think for me, a through line was, what would it be like for this movie to be released now versus 1999? Because I think it does not in any way glorify this behavior, but you see sometimes with movies, even like a One Battle After Another, right, where they're like, no, this is not necessarily saying, like, do you need the director to like jump out and be like, I do not condone this, this is me making a movie? Is that where we're at? And so you would feel like you would need those levels of signposting for some of the ways that people talk about movies when it's so fucking clear. Everyone here experiences such extreme levels of consequences for their behaviors, right? Except for maybe your girl Tracy, right? Which you could discuss as a thing. But like the guy who is an absolute fucking perv and creeper sees his whole life fall apart. His wife leaves him. His community shuns him. They do the thing where he's like, I wonder what old boy is up to right now. And then cut to your man at the checkout with the click clack. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like everybody ends up dealing with real consequences. And you feel like, given the way certain movies are dissected, people would be like, I don't know, this movie didn't say this is bad. What you mean they didn't say it was bad?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think I feel like they did the right amount of like, no, we get it. It's bad. it's not good.
Yeah. There's a scene also where I think to what you're describing, I had a similar sort of visceral reaction. It's where it's Dave, right? The creepy teacher, Dave. And we're sort of going through that whole thing. Because I think a big part of this also, right, is, the way that this movie's kind of been reinterpreted culturally with some of the analyses of Tracy Flick as a participant versus, full-fledged grooming victim, right? And what does that sort of say about how we interpret these things in society? That said, just in terms of presentation, when Dave is giving her the root beer or whatever, and it's once, twice, three times a lady playing, like, to me, those are just such, it's subtle, but it's so loud in many respects of what the movie is doing and making you feel a certain way about, like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up, right? Like, I don't need Alex Payne to pop up on screen being like, this guy's a perv, right? This shit is weird, right? Like, the shit is on the screen, fam. The shit is on the screen.
I think it helps that also we get Matthew Broderick's character being like, at your own fucking house? Are you crazy?
Yeah, right. And
like
yet, and yet, would that be enough of a sledgehammer? Yeah, right. For sure.
But yes, I do think it's the perfect, no disrespect to my man Lionel Richie, but I do think that's the perfect song for putting in context for like how fucking awkward this is, because she doesn't have any reference to three times a lady.
Nothing. Right.
Why are you putting that song on for this fucking child?
And I feel like the thing is,
what a root beer.
Even if she does know, like it's so unsettling.
It's definitely not a sexy feeling to her. That's not a sexy song to her. At best, her mom likes this song. Even if you got a grown ass
woman at the crib, son, like I don't know if that's necessarily the jam that we try to get that. What happens to some Teddy P? Huh? Can we get some Teddy P on? That's that said,
I do work the same way.
I mean, it depends on what we're doing. Love TKO. Look, I think there's a thing here, especially with the power imbalance of teacher-student, right? of even if Tracy Flick, as she says it several times, I was doing this, I was a part of it. If he had just gotten his shit together and not been such a bitch, right? Like Tracy calls Dave a bitch basically several times. Like if Dave had not just been such a fucking loser bitch, everything be fine. Like
it's even unclear what exactly at what point he crossed her Rubicon as far as like, all right, dude, you got to back off. Did the mom? Okay, there's a scene in the movie for people at home, in case whatever reason, where it comes to a head is we find that the principal is reading out this fucking love note / invite card / don't. Why are you taking notes during a criminal fucking conspiracy?
Yeah, yo, son, I had the same. I was like, yo, what are we doing?
Dear Tracy, we should go on a tropical vacation and all this stuff. And boy, I love you. Your quote unquote teacher, Dave. You're like,
the
man,
card
you gave up the whole ass game. Did Tracy go, this motherfucker has lost his mind, or did the mom?
I think it's a competency thing. Yeah, it's a competency thing, right? It's Tracy.
Fuck?
Yeah, like Tracy's fine if you can just be discreet. You know what I'm saying? And I think, again, to get back to the other point, she is a student. So even if she wants to have whatever relationship with her teacher, it's always, the onus is always on you, doubly so in that situation, to be like, nah, son, we can't get down like that. If nothing else, holler at me after graduation. Even then, now you get into weird age gap discourse or whatever. But like, it doesn't matter how much Tracy Flick wants it. You gotta shut that shit down, right? That said, these dudes is really wilding about putting all the information in a voicemail, son. Jim McAllister, the number of times I'm like, yo, son, we gotta reel this shit in, Jim. Like, you can't.
We are definitely going to get to Jim McAllister's many foibles and mistakes along the way.
You know they record these, right? Jim, you know they recording these.
This goes on a physical tape back then, my friend. Tape.
The DA gonna play this shit
out
in court,
of the machine, Jim, and put into a cassette player in the car if you wanted to. That's how they worked back then. Bro. I remember I had one. Did you, Teddy, in high school specifically, know a Tracy Flick?
Well, as a guy who was on the speech and debate team throughout middle school and high school, how many Tracy Flicks is the answer to my question. I knew several. I think I would say, right, I could have built like a Tracy Flick spectrum. You know what I mean? Like, are you Tracy Flick with more social skills, right? Less social skills. I have like a whole Tracy Flick's matrix kind of thing going on. But yeah, I think there were definitely a lot of those types, especially in the speech and debate world, right? With the political intersection, since she is such a political creature in so many respects. And someone who had such a fixation on a specific pathway and things that needed to be done, but also really was so fundamentally removed in many respects from what it meant to really be a real human being, right? And you either course correct at some fashion, or you just sort of continue to drift and be untethered and unbound by the social contract.
If you're bound for greatness, it's a lonely road, as Dave would say.
True. Dave would tell you that. Yes. So yeah, I will definitely say I knew a lot of them, right? I knew a lot of them, and the same thing, I definitely knew a lot of Tracy Flick types in college as well too. But I think you have a variation of them where, are you Tracy Flick forever? Right? Like, right. There's a sense of like, you still have some of those elements to you, but do you learn how to not be such a, antisocial, fundamentally against interpersonal interaction style entity, right?
Yeah.
Did you know Tracy Flicks in high school? You ain't know none of them.
All right.
You knew of them?
I probably knew in the way that you know your classmates, like, oh, I know her. Whatever.
You saw him in the yearbook. I see Tracy in the yearbook.
We're in history class together. Whatever I was not. Tracy Flick would have never talked to me. I could say that.
Oh, so is the implication here I would have been talking to Tracy Flicks in high school?
Well,
is this kind of where this question comes from?
Speech and debate, you ran.
I ran with the Tracy Flicks. You saying I ran with Tracy Flicks. I mean, I knew that's what you were saying, but now that I hear you saying I'm trying not to take it as disrespect. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm saying I was not aware because it wouldn't have been on my radar to notice somebody being like that. I wrote down like, I do not understand student body government, and I sure as fuck do not understand president. I didn't understand it at the time. I remember at the time, a friend of mine was like, "Hey man, you should fucking be funny. You could put up signs that don't be a bitch, vote for Mitch." And I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty funny."
I don't know if that's gonna take me all the way there, guy. I don't know if that's gonna take me.
But like, I don't think they'd let me get away with that for one. And also, what the fuck does student body president do? And all of my friends were like, I fucking know. And I remember like one time watching some kind of, rally or whatever where they're all making their promises. And I was like, can they even do any of these things? Like if they go, oh, we're going to have more vending machines in the third quarter, like surely there's a budget in play. Like surely you can't just say, oh, on Fridays, everybody could wear a bikini. You can't say that. So I was like,
well, you can say whatever you want. Now, can you get those things done? That's the beauty of it, bitch. I can get up there and say whatever the hell I want before the administrators say and man my ass off stage. Do you know how to work the halls of power, though? Do you know how to do it?
The purpose of a student body government in the first place. And
somebody got to be in charge.
Of what? You're not in charge of diddly shit. You're in charge of jack and squat. You're in charge of
there are obligations
nothing.
And things. There's obligations and things. There's meetings. The only thing that
I ever heard that I was like, okay, that's a responsibility.
There's councils and committees and all kinds of things, man. There's all kinds of things.
Was that the president in senior year will be responsible for being in charge of the high school reunions. And I remember thinking, oh, fuck, that guy? I'm never going to get to a high school reunion because he's never going to invite me. And here we are, almost 30 years later. And sure enough, I have never been invited to a high school reunion. As I predicted almost 30 years ago. That sounded like, oh, okay, that's a thing you can do, I guess. That's a responsibility.
Okay, if nothing else,
that's the only thing I ever heard that made sense. What else do you fucking do?
First of all, there's a budget with student activities. That's got to be allocated, disseminated. Okay, you got dances. You got all kind of big time shit.
Don't do that.
I didn't necessarily come from a high school where it's popping like that. What'd you say?
Don't the teachers handle that? Like the vice principal goes, this year the theme is Enchantment Under the Sea.
That's where the student body president be working with the people and stuff. Now they just maybe be announcing the shit that you want. Maybe you got a power struggle and you got to override them. And now you got a Tracy Flick on your hands because you're like, no, we don't want that thing. But guess what? She knows how to move, son. She know the blackmail. She out here working the halls of power against you. So who gives a fuck if you don't like Under the Sea, you raggedy bitch? We getting it on for this season. Deal with it. It's Under the Harvest Moon because that's what the streets want. And by streets, I mean Tracy Flick.
This will come as little to no surprise to you, but I never so much as stepped foot into a homecoming or prom dance of any kind ever in my life. So I don't remember a single theme or if there was a theme because I wasn't going to go. I knew I wasn't going to go. Didn't give a shit. So wouldn't have known if there was a big... I wouldn't have known if there was a hubbub. I wouldn't have known if there was a ballot to vote on.
You wouldn't have known nothing. I wouldn't have
fucking known nothing. Squat.
Now I will say, you to your point, right? Like you're not like making policy with the superintendent and shit. Like it is. That's sort of what I feel like is funny about it. It's very low stakes, high stakes juxtaposition here, right? But like you do have shit to do, depending on the community as well, that feels very outsized in importance. As a youth in Omaha. We in Omaha, Nebraska. We in Nebraska, right? With the Omaha Steaks.
Yeah. Again, I'm coming from Phoenix in these stories. In as far as high school goes, I'm coming from Phoenix, which may as well have been Omaha. As far as it's a small town. It felt like a small town. Nothing's really going. Nothing's popping. High school was a big deal for many years after high school to the people who it meant a lot to in high school. I don't know, something, we'll get into it at a later date, but something at some point in my school career, probably in middle school, almost certainly in middle school, something clicked and I was like, none of this fucking matters. I just got to get through it.
Middle school, 7th grade, bitch out here at PE being like, hey, man, I don't know what to tell y'all, but not a damn thing matters, bro. Y'all about to go back to geography class like a motherfucker care about borders and treaties. I don't give a fuck about no archipelago, huh?
Is that how you pronouncing it?
What do you say, archipelago?
I thought it was archipelago. I always
be,
thought that. Maybe that's how the whites pronounce it. Maybe it's another one of those.
Well, it's two Americas. It could be a real rodeo drive situation. Have we been divided all these years in our archipelago pronunciation? What else has the man
or
taken
Caribbean?
for us?
Where are we going with this?
What else? I say tomato, you say tomato. I say oppression, you say repression.
So to me, this movie is very like what's the layer on top, my own little seasoning on top, is that I'm laughing the whole time because I'm like, this fucking matters. You guys care so much about fucking nothing. None of this matters.
It doesn't.
To me,
right?
That's very funny.
It's funny, and I will say, I guess, given my proximity, like it does and it doesn't, right? Like you need these things, especially back in 1999, if we're talking about the college application process, right? Like you needed to have these sort of things if you wanted to move into certain stratospheres. And I feel like that's a little bit before the emphasis started to come on. Yeah, you also have to be a well-rounded person though, right? Like now you've sort of seen that correction where they're like, we don't really care about your 4.7 and yada, yada, yada. It's like, are you a real person? Like, I don't, that's where the essays come in, right? Like, can you actually write something that isn't just sort of, AI generated nonsense, bunch of gobbledygook or whatever? And so does it really matter? Like, no, you're not doing anything in this role. You're just overseeing some student functions and some budgets and some planning. But does that also put you in a position where, some principal, whatever, gives you a recommendation or so alumni does a thing or whatever? Like it is. And I will say to your point about like, do these types of people, there's a thing, as I'm, and doing the debate club and Junior Statesman of America and Student Congress and all that stuff, hey, bro, your boy, you out here asking me if I knew the Tracy Flick song. Did the Tracy Flick know me? Is the better question. All right. Did the Tracy Flick know your boy? That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I will say
the school turned on me at a young age, so I turned on school, and I didn't much care.
I'll tell you what, that sounds like a banging ass track that I would have heard at the Warped Tour back in '99. That sounds like, are we sure that's not an unreleased Suicidal Tendencies joint? We ain't never see a B-side with that on it, huh?
Again, it's a story for another time, but I did go to two different high schools. And what I originally wrote is, because after the Tracy Flick question, I wrote, to be fair, I also would have hated Paul. But then I remembered at my second high school, which was way more like punk. And that's why I really liked it. Like it was a whole group of punks there. And I was like, fuck yeah, punks. About goddamn time. And their emphasis was not as much on sports. The first one was the All-American High School where the football team ruled the goddamn kingdom. And they got away with damn near murder. And multiple scandals, and nothing ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. But at the second high school, they were way more into the arts and stuff. And it was very funny how many former classmates from my old high school would get bussed in to the new one that had all the budget for the arts programs. And I'm like, yeah, you assholes. But there at the second high school, I did make friends with the quarterback who would dress in drag and wear the school colors as like a dress on game days for school spirit. And I just thought it was hilarious. But his jock friends wouldn't talk to him on those days. So he'd hang out with me and my punk friends. And they'd all be like, I don't know, he's in the football team. I was like, it's okay. He's wearing a dress. What do you want from the guy? Like, let him in. You know, he's a good guy. And we got along pretty well. So maybe I would have been cool with Paul at the second high school. The first one, not a chance. The second one?
I mean, Paul
maybe.
seemed like he would have been, depending on what the currents were, right? I don't know if Paul would have been stand-up guy, have your back without, the rest of the boys. But Paul might have definitely fucked with you a little bit. He's got that kind of earnestness.
Paul seems like a little too simple to have an opinion about jocks or punks.
I was going to say, Paul's a little too malleable to trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you might talk to Paul, and then the next day, Paul might be like, I'm sorry. Pow, 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 pow. You're like, Paul, no.
You understand? I didn't want to beat your ass, but,
yeah.
yes,
you know what I'm saying? We know a lot of Pauls. Like, Paul, Paul would be like, hey, man, I'm so sorry. I had to do it. You're like, hey, yeah, all right, Paul. Can I still come over to your house and have dinner tomorrow? No, Paul, you just beat the shit out of me, man. My mama don't want to see you.
Okay, well, because I made cupcakes, Thinking, well, my mom made cupcakes.
Can you tell her I said
anyway?
Maybe next week.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll see, Paul. I can't stay mad at you, old golden retriever ass.
So you had talked briefly about the original writer of the book. It was a book that was based on, and he based that story, or I think maybe it was Alexander Payne who got really inspired by. I don't know. Somebody got inspired by a true story in Wisconsin.
No, this is the original author, Tom Perrotta.
Okay.
This is the original author, because this is what the novel was inspired by. Two events that inspired the novel, and you're about to touch on one of them.
Yeah. Wisconsin homecoming queen that was denied a win because the teachers burned the ballots, which I tried to read more about, but it was behind the New York Times paywall, and I'm not in the mood to pay the New York Times right now. But I was kind of fascinated by that thing. I'm like, okay, burning is a much better idea than ripping it up and throwing it in your own trash can. But then it very much invites
to old Jim McCallister's goober ass nature, bro. You out
it invites the very obvious question of how the fuck did you get caught if you burned them?
Right. Yip yapping. Y'all couldn't stop telling the whole town about the crime you got away with, huh? Shout out Investigation Discovery.
Is that what happened?
I done seen y'all. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I know how y'all be moving.
Was that what happened? Was the yippee yapping?
I guarantee it probably was. Look, I don't got no fixed facts about that, but I guarantee you somebody was out here just, yip yapping at the mouth. I could very well be wrong. That's a heck of a justification. That's my guarantee.
I mean, it does. It's like, okay, the smart way to go is to grab the ballots, put them in your pocket, burn them at home in your fireplace. But barring that,
smart way to go is to get people to like you, so you do not have to engage in such shenanigans.
I'm talking about the teacher. I'm talking about the teacher. I'm talking about as a teacher. If you're like, it's very funny to me also that they're like, she was denied, by the way, because she was pregnant, and they were like, we can't have pregnant homecoming queen in whatever, I guess 1996.
In 1992? In 1992?
Okay, for some reason I thought it was like 96 or something.
In 1992 in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. How y'all pronounce that? Y'all telling me they could have a pregnant homecoming queen? 2 Americas? Absolutely not, bro. How many people in that town? Man?
I'm wondering how many ballots you have to burn to keep her off. Was it like 3? Then okay, whatever. You know what I mean? But if it was
7th most
70?
populous city in Wisconsin in the 2020 census. All right, we're talking about 70,000 people in the town.
I'm saying, how many ballots did you have to burn to rig the election for homecoming?
That's not a lot of people, bro. And enough. She probably was mad popular, son. You probably had to do more than 2.
Yeah, probably.
Streets
That's
was really
how you get pregnant
it.
in high school, right? Real popular.
She clearly had a couple friends. All right, that's what you're supposed to say.
All right. Phil Reeves, the principal. Beautiful casting. Perfect. Big, small town principal. Little tiny power trips, but it never goes too far to his head. But I love every little moment that he's on screen. He fucking plays that instrument flawlessly from the assembly. All right, if you guys aren't going to take this seriously, we're going to shut the whole thing down.
He's such a
and
great
just steps away. You're like,
figure.
That's absolutely every principal sounds that way.
There's a scene. There's the same vibe that I had the same thing. It comes towards the end. And it's when, he's going to him after, oh my gosh, hey, the count isn't right. And McAllister's out here, with the tomfoolery. And, and the principal realizes, the scope of the accusation. He's like, hey, I don't really like your tone here.
Yeah.
We're out here.
Hey, calm it down there.
Yeah. Hey, the implication here is that, it's so funny.
Yeah, and he calls him by his last name. The kid that calls the kid by his last name, like Mr. something or other.
Right, to let him know the seriousness there. Hey, hey.
I don't like your tone. Now, Mr. McAllister here is 3-time decorated teacher of the year.
Yeah. Do you know what you're
over
doing here?
Flim-flamming about about the ballots. Like, we won't be having that. Not on my watch, sir.
No, absolutely not. You can imagine this guy going home, laying down in bed next to his wife, be like, can you believe this fucking kid? Accuse McAllister. You know McAllister. She's like, yeah. His wife makes a great potato salad. That's right. Yeah. His wife does make that, but we should have. It's not like he's accusing fucking Dave. This guy's.
I do like that. It's really not a factor that Tammy's gay, except to the one girl who's like, I don't know, that makes me feel like a loser because you're gay. And she's like,
yeah, it's a very contained but very big subplot, right? Like, it's not like it is. I think it feels very appropriate for the time that we're talking about. If you are, putting this again, coming in, the incoming Bush administration sort of thing, what's sort of in the background for gay marriage, gay rights, all that stuff, where it's a lot of self-loathing. Because I think there's a lot of, I can't remember what this girl's name was, but I think I wrote there's a lot of those types out there right now, it feels like, right? Is it Lisa? It's Lisa, I think, is the character.
Oh, the girl that she was dating.
The girl who then goes and hooks up with Chris Klein's character.
Paul Metzler.
The other Metzler. Paul Metzler, yeah. Right, where like I feel like, especially with the incredible anti-gay animus backlash, right, to some of the progress that we've seen, people being hysterical about fucking drag queen, story time and shit like that, right? There's a lot of Lisas out there of being like, well, this is how I really move, but like I can't be seen like that, right? Like there's a level of unfortunate timeliness to election and how it depicts people in some of these environments where you're just like, damn, we feel like we're hustling backwards right now a little bit.
The vibe I got, the vibe I got is that Tammy's character is very much kind of how I was in high school, in that she was like, look, once I get out of this fucking shit box, I'm going to go be myself. So like none of this.
I just got to make it out. I just got to get out.
You guys are acting all small town. I'm in high school. I'm over here. I'm up here. Like I'm done. I'm past all of this. I'm waiting for just the year to end out so I can get back to my life. But you motherfuckers are all worried about this high school
Have
bullshit.
fun with this.
And that's very much what her girlfriend's mindset is like, no. High school really fucking matters. Of the two of them, Tammy's going to have the better life by far. Tammy's killing it.
We'll see. I don't know about that. I mean, Lisa seems like a social climber who's going to be very fine. Now, is she going to feel anything? Like, I don't think Lisa feels anything. Lisa has a great penthouse. She makes a lot of money. She's an amoral operator. She is making bank. But does Lisa look out of the window every night in her penthouse trying to just, see something with Hello Darkness, My Old Friend playing as she stares into the abyss and it stares back at her? Yes, 100%.
Okay. That's what I'm referring to.
To be clear, on better life, quality of life metric, I was talking about the soul staring out the window piece, not the Swiss bank accounts embezzling funds left and right. Of course.
I'm talking, when the Grim Reaper comes, who's going to be a little more upset about it? Lisa. It's going to be like, I don't
know if Lisa's going to be upset. I think Lisa will have made her. Lisa might have made it.
I had a few more minutes to make a couple bucks.
She's like, I've expected you for
Should have
years.
found love
That's
at
what
some point.
Yeah, Lisa, I thought you was coming a long time ago, huh?
Yeah. But I mean, it's high school. So there's still the opportunity, of course, for Lisa to get out of high school. Wow, I cared so much about dumb shit. Now I can go be a real human. There's plenty of
But what do we
people who
see?
that.
What's the last thing that we see about Lisa, right? Lisa then
Switching up boyfriends. Yeah,
that's what I'm telling you.
Move on to the next quarterback.
Lisa we already know how Lisa gonna be moving for the next 35 years, bro. Lisa trajectory.
I don't know if high school is that representative of people's lives. But
What you mean? What you mean? That's the whole story, son. We see Tracy Flick coming into the shit, bro. Why Lisa gotta have a different arc, son? You think Lisa not in the same? Lisa in the? I know Lisa, son. You asked me if I knew Tracy. I knew Lisa too, B.
Okay.
I'm at the funeral right now. I knew Lisa too, son.
I knew a Tammy. All right, I knew a Tammy. So we were friends, me and Tammy. But she wasn't quite as hung up on girls as I'd
like to say I was friends with everybody in this joint. You know what I mean? I'd like to say, I was moving in all these circles, not to necessarily say I got my mail in some of these circles, but did I know of them? Did I hang out with them? Yeah, absolutely. That's what happens when you do debate and theater and things like that, right? And you also be hanging out with the people who play sports and stuff. I see y'all at the crossroads, son.
Now let's put the focus back on Mr. McAllister here, who the man makes all right.
So many mistakes.
So many. I had forgotten for some reason in my mind's eye his suggestion of the hotel was after she had made some kind of remark. But then we're watching it this time. I was like, no, that really was out of nowhere.
McAllister just was doing a heat check, bro. He out here pulling up from the logo. He
like, we should get a room. And she's like, we went shopping. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
So that was a little early.
I guess not. Nope.
Jim.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a joke you can make if you're both single and you've been hanging out like that for like a week or two. Then you can make that joke. But when she's recently separated, you're trying to have a baby with your wife. Yeah, the let's go to the no-tell motel joke doesn't fly.
Doesn't land. It's not gonna land. It's not gonna land, Jim. Not gonna land.
But then she goes along with it. But after they hooked up, and then
I feel like going along with it. You can't really say she goes along with it after they hook up. Like hooking up is sort of a big leapfrog of going along with it.
No, I'm saying
that they make out.
After
you mean
they
make
hook up,
out?
She goes. I get the impression that they got it on.
We can't have
in the house.
Recurring.
You're saying he laid her down on the living room floor and they just kissed? And
no, they did
petting?
It. And then they do
okay,
the motel.
They did it. That's right. They did it.
Right.
And then she goes, hey, maybe you should take me to that motel.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I can't fault him for the next part where he gets the motel set up and is blindsided.
You can't fault him. Yeah.
Well, at that point, I'm saying he already cheated.
After 3 voicemails, you can't make it blindsided.
No. Hold on. I said no. You're jumping ahead. I'm saying at the point where he's already cheated, she makes the suggestion of the motel. He's like, hell yeah. Up to that point, I'm like, okay, well, I don't agree with it, but at least he's like not in another planet. Like that is. Sure. That was presented to him.
He's got a reasonable expectation here of what to do.
Yes.
Okay. I
she she explicitly said, "Let's go get that motel," and he's like, "Okay, let's say 3:00." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They made a plan. She's like, "Okay, sounds good." He's like, "I'll pick you up." The plan was set. That part, okay. Everything after that, whoo boy. Wild now.
Yeah, it's all diminishing returns. It's all downhill for
but yeah, certainly to call and leave voicemails about the criminal conspiracy. Poor decision.
The man is supposed to be a 3-time educator of the year in his community. They don't teach you nothing about street smarts when they hand you the plaque, Jim McAllister? Huh?
Apparently not. I do love that when he comes home, he's got the beer and he's got the bee sting in the eye, which is a perfect cherry on top for his shitty day. And he hears the baby crying. He's like, I think I know what that is. I really hope that's not a baby I know. And then he like pokes his head around the corner and then both of them look at him. And his reaction is just,
I hope that's not a baby I know.
Yeah, that's the sound. It's in his head. He's going, "Oh shit! I know a woman with a baby.
I know that
be
baby
here right now.
Yeah,
I know a woman with a baby who better not be in this house right now." And he pokes his head around the corner, thinking, "I'll just sneak a peek." And they just immediately
they both just
daggers
the fuck out of here.
And he goes, "Okay." Because what else? He didn't go, baby, you don't understand. He just goes, okay.
Yeah. I love the just like, okay, I understand.
The big question at the heart of this: did he do the right thing at any point? Well, let's just talk about the election. Let's talk about the election specifically. I don't like that she was. He does later. He goes, I wanted to confront her and say she lied and cheated and stole her. I know she ripped down those posters. She basically ran an honest, clean campaign, minus the part where she tore down the posters in a fit of rage. But she otherwise didn't do anything particularly egregious. Didn't care for the early celebration, peeking through the window and all that. I didn't care for that. But that's
we're not talking about Tracy Flick breaking the code of getting early information, huh? So we talking about the Tracy Flick redemption arc, right? Because everybody get their consequences in them.
Yeah.
You saying Tracy innocent? Free Tracy till they say it backwards, huh?
No. I'm on Matthew Broderick, Jim McAllister's side as far as throwing out the ballot. I think he should have been smarter about it. But I'm saying that in the context of the film, in the canon of the film, really the worst thing she did was, I guess, tear down the posters. But for me, the more egregious one was the peeking through the window, getting the early results.
So the early results is more it's more unseemly and bothersome to you than the actual physical destruction of.
Look, she tore down her own posters as well, so because
that's how you throw people off the case. You out here giving a criminal credit for crime. Well, he also planted some other fingerprints in the scene. He should. He's trying to get away.
I'm saying at the 2 days away, a day or two away from the election, who gives a shit about posters at that point? Like, it's not like
everybody. They don't pay attention to shit in high school. They motherfuckers looking around. Hey,
there's 3 people two people on the ballot because one of them gets expelled for doing the for the poster.
Yeah.
If anything, she did.
Tracy,
Tammy wanted to
your
go
point here,
school.
I'll give you this. Tracy is not necessarily guilty of actual transgressions beyond ripping posters, right? But she is guilty,
as lawyers would say, actual malice. You're saying she's innocent of actual malice, what they call in legal circles.
Slightly guilty of actual malice with the posters. But she is guilty of being a dork-ass, dweeb-ass loser who I don't fuck with. And respectfully, you can kick rocks, right? Is that a crime? Is that prosecutable?
I don't see, by the by,
there.
I would think.
Now, granted, she's still enough of a fucking dweeb that people are like.
Between those two characters, Paul and Tracy, I don't see Tracy getting a 50. I don't see it going 50-50. I think it's landslide Paul, but I don't know how these things. What's your insight as a high school political commentator? Put on your high school Nate Silver hat.
I think here's the thing, right? Like, I don't think people like Tracy, but she's clearly done some level of charm offensive. I think it's probably not anywhere close to a 50-50. You know what I'm saying? Like, Is Tracy Flick as sympathetic as pregnant homecoming queen? Absolutely not, son. Like, and no. we don't know. It wasn't a 2-vote thing. They were just like, we got to burn these motherfuckers. We got to get rid of bushels of mass votes, son. We got to get rid of these joints. Got goddamn Johnny Appleseed to vote.
Yeah, you're talking about the based on a true story. I'm saying in the Tracy Flick world.
So I think you're probably looking at more of a 70-30, right? Like Tracy Flick to me doesn't have the interpersonal skills to make this a toss-up ball game. Respectfully,
I'm saying
Tracy Flick is good enough if she is hyper competent that people are like, yeah, nobody wants to run against Tracy Flick, and who like to your point, right? Who gives a shit? Who cares? This thing isn't important. Let her have it if she wants to. It's not a real thing. But you throw a real warm live body in there with Mr. Aw Shucks, out here eating them corn husks, then you might have a real competition on your hands. Which we have not touched on this, but Chris Klein, fun fact. Don't know if you knew, discovered as part of the process. This was his feature film debut. They discovered Chris Klein.
Right. And then he went on to do, of course,
a casting
American
show.
Pie.
And American Pie in 1999 as well. But found that boy at a local Omaha high school. He ain't had no acting experience. He out here all shucks in his way through that movie. That's real. That's real.
That was his real life was all shucks. Oh shucks.
Chris, they say in a movie. They say, Chris,
shucks.
Can you do a take? I just did that shit after third period. What y'all want me to do, huh? You want me to run it back?
Yeah. They're like, can you read the script? And he goes, oh, shucks. And they were like, all right, you got the part. This has got it's got big Mike Judge energy. It's a little surprising that it didn't go Mike Judge, but it is an MTV film, and it's very much in their wheelhouse insofar as, a Mike Judge kind of joint.
Now, see, I had a note about MTV Films when I saw that because I was like, okay, this had to be one of their first releases in the MTV Films. And, again, MTV Films, MTV News, right? Like you talk about MTV Now and just losing the music video, but that cultural footprint used to be so much wider. Before
in the 90s?
We got in the 90s, you talk about heyday, right? But before election, you had Joe's Apartment, Beavis and Butthead Do America, which of course would come back to your man.
I believe Office Space was Office Space part of theirs.
Office Space was not MTV Films, I don't believe.
All right. Which I think
but then
was
you
also
had Dead Man on Campus, 200 Cigarettes, and then finally getting some traction with stuff like Varsity Blues, Save the Last Dance, Jackass the movie, Napoleon Dynamite, Hustle and Flow. And then by the time you get to 2006, MTV Films starts to just sort of fade away. So,
But yeah, so, I mean, Jim McAllister could have absolutely would have been fine had he just pocketed the goddamn. And it's a lot quieter to fold two sheets of paper and go like that. Yeah, there's a lot of
Jim McAllister would have been fine if would be its own companion piece for this movie, right? Now, here's a question for you, because I'm curious. I thought it might have come up, but did you think about Rushmore at all while watching this film?
No.
Given that you said no? That's a big no. Rushmore didn't come to you at all? No parallel. All right, man. I just was curious.
Not given.
Oh, okay. That's why. All right. Okay. It's not even on your radar. Got it. They're both on their second feature film for him and Alexander Payne, right? They're both sort of, I think they are just interesting as sort of those, I guess we might call them indie directors maybe back then. Now they're a bit more commercial, obviously, but two movies about these characters who are very similar in some ways in navigating this high school experience, right? They're obviously very different and stylized. But I was curious if that was just me, and the answer, Retropolis, is a resounding yes. That was all you.
It might not be all in a two-person in this particular exchange. Yes, but I think in a larger, broader cultural context, I think there might be other people out there in the Retropolis. Denizens of the Retropolis might be like, yes, I also felt a twinge of Rushmore smoking.
So any of the final Are we heading into the home stretch here for the election? We giving reviews?
Had you?
Any of the final
is this
highlights
another one of those movies that you saw pieces of on TV over the years?
I had seen Election a long time ago, but I had not seen it anytime soon. So this one was a fresh kind of watch, right? I was watching this with my wife, and she kept going like, "I don't remember this being in the movie," and I was like, "Do you need?" She was like, "Yeah, Election. I remember Election," and I was like, "Okay." And then we 20 minutes in, she's like, "I don't remember none of this. What? Huh?" I was like,
amazing what
movie were you thinking
27
of?
years will do to your brain. To be
She
fair,
was like, "Okay, yeah." So I was sort of putting this one with the retrospects on, saying like, "All right, I'm taking this in for the first time again." Because it had been a long time since I had really been exposed to it. And I think fascinating to see the Tracy Flick nexus of, where she would sit politically, right? Like Tracy Flick to me would be appalled by some of the things coming out of a Republican White House. Like you could build a sliding doors for Tracy Flick going this way, very Republican conservative type, right? This way, going very Hillary, Goldwater girl, liberal evolution. And where she would be today, I think, could launch a million think pieces. I don't think Tracy Flick would love the Maha shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, she might like some of the crunchy shit, but like, does she want the FDA to just have salmonella running amok? No, I think Tracy Flick fetishizes competence too much to fuck with some of these people. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like she sees that in Paul, and she's like, if you don't get your big mouth breathing ass the fuck up out of my administration.
Right. Paul is Trump.
I don't think
in her world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. And then she stares into the abyss, and she becometh what she most hateth.
Does the abyss stare back? $8 million budget, $15 million box office. Came and went. As far as that goes, especially in 1999. If I was still working in a movie theater, that would have been in Theater 7 at the end of the hall.
Okay.
For like a week.
Okay.
And they'd have been like, we got to make room for
they were
7,000 blockbusters that are coming out this year. We got no room. We're going to put month number 8 of Matrix in that theater and kick Election right back out is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So you're going, you look at the letterbox. I'll give you the Ruttons. Whoa. Was not expecting these numbers. 92.
What is I told you. Critical darling.
%. I mean, I didn't know that it was that much of it. 92. That's like Pixar.
3.8 on the letterbox.
All right.
3.8.
That sounds about right.
4 stars from your boy. Think it holds up impeccably well. I think there's a reason that the Tracy Flick archetype continues to be cited to this day. I think I also mentioned that Perrotta, the author Tom Perrotta, wrote a sequel. It's called Tracy Flick Can't Win, where she comes back as a middle-aged vice principal, and they did announce an adaptation with Reese Witherspoon coming back. But and Alexander Payne directing, but I don't think as of now it's on anybody's front burner. The second half of this episode, my pick, the movie my final hidden gem, Black America Stand Up, a movie that never found its footing at the box office, but I feel like found a home, cable, DVD sales, right? A recurring theme of what we've talked about. The 1999 under the radar classic, Life, Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence in the Mississippi Delta, dealing with the rigors, trials, and tribulations of Jim Crow America. Mitch, you had not seen this one, correct?
It was nowhere on my radar.
So a film that I was shocked that you, as a guy who we've talked at length comedy, and Eddie Murphy specifically, had not heard of this one, because I feel like, on the flip side, right, you always ask me about snippets and things of that nature. This is one that I had just sort of, anytime that it was on, I kind of just stop and watch at any point, right? I feel like this was on TNT or TBS maybe 3 or 4 times a day, closer to a week, but in my adolescence. And so
See,
just
I feel like if I've
all-time
seen
quotables.
if I've seen a movie on normal ass TV, regular ass non HBO, it's not HBO, it's just regular ass TV. If I see a movie on regular ass TV, I consider I have not seen the movie. As far as I'm concerned, I don't watch.
I kind of am
I
similar.
cannot watch.
I like my shit to be uncensored.
I cannot watch a movie with commercials and censorship. That's not a movie. Like I can't.
He's a purist,
I just,
folks. He's a purist.
even if I love the movie,
So am I.
I'm like, oh, I love this movie. I wonder if it's on like HBO or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I love this movie. I've got it on DVD. Maybe I should watch that. You know what I mean? I can't do TV movies. It's just not a thing I can do.
No, I mean, I can do it if it's like in the background, but if I'm like actually watching a movie for the first time, yeah, absolutely not. You gotta, I'm not doing Terry Gilliam Brazil on TV. First of all, no one's airing it. Secondly,
that's a real weird TV channel.
right. But I think this is one where, looking at the landscape of movies in 1999, I don't think I would have had any appreciation for that as a 14, 15-year-old or whatever, for being like, just the greatest fucking year for movies ever, right? Mitch, you were a little bit advanced, so you had a little bit more. You were at the party and the function talking about that, the water cooler.
Yeah, I was 20, going on 21. Yeah.
Yeah, you're a little more chapped. I can now see how this film just got completely wiped out in terms of all this other shit happening, and did people really want to see Eddie and Martin Lawrence in this kind of movie, in this kind of pairing, in this kind of environment? I think the other
1930s America, Mississippi, in jail is a hard sell. Oh, but it's a comedy. It's Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy.
It's an R-rated comedy.
Right. But what's the setting? Oh, they're in jail in 1930s Mississippi.
Well, a little bit. They jail and they fool around.
What else is in theaters?
Another thing
everything is in theaters?
Literally everything that you could ever want to see is in the movie theater. I think the other thing that's really kind of fascinating, right, is where are they both at this respective point in time, right? Because on the Eddie front, he is making the transition from the family, or from the hard R shit, to more family friendly fare, right? Like this is coming at a sort of weird point for him, because he's done Dr. Dolittle and Nutty Professor and Mulan, right? He did Holy Man, which I think even by his own admission, he would be like, that's terrible. Or I think maybe he's actually even said it. And so Life is sort of a bit of like, it has the very characteristic Eddie Murphy Harlem Nights R-rated humor and elements, but there's also more of a good-natured, family-friendly vibe to some elements, especially when you look at some of the montages or whatever.
I mean, I was immediately,
I won't say necessarily family-friendly, but it's not as hard. Like it does have some of the stuff that he's doing. Like you get R-rated Eddie, but you also can easily see some moments when he's being more of a PG guy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like you can kind of see that.
The charm is thick. It drips on you. I mean, everybody. I wrote in my. I don't have many notes, but I did have one note. Is I'm in love with everybody that's a convict in this movie.
Oh man, what a cast! Look,
like
it's an all-time black cinema cast. It's an all-time cast, but black cinema specifically, it's an all-timer.
Every single convict I fell in love with eventually. Some right away. Some of them took a few scenes to grow on me. Obviously, you got to hate all the white people in the movie. That's easy to do.
Well, hey, look. You definitely got to hate our buddy E. Lee Emery. R. Lee Emery,
yeah.
Making another cameo. I literally wrote down, how many times are we going to see this fucking guy in our...
in our goddamn hidden gems.
Yeah, bro. Every decade we done seen this man being a menace. Look, I do have to shout out though, because I think when I was pitching you on this movie, I was talking about obviously Bernie Mac as Jangaleg, who's so Jangaleg. You know, you can say that to certain people and like you either know where that's from or they're like, what's wrong with this fucking weird guy? You got Bokeem Woodbine, who continues to be a fucking amazing dude. Can't get right. Who just is great as a guy who says literally
that guy has had a really weird career. And I think, in fact, in 1999, and I think in 1999, he also did. One day we'll have to get into it in some kind of other theme, but he did a movie with Courtney Cox and John Goodman about gambling. And everybody in that movie is batshit insane. The writing is the most insane thing I've ever heard. There's so many lines in that movie that I'm like, I can't believe somebody wrote this down. And multiple people were like, I'll deliver that line. Like it went through,
baby. That's
you don't
cinema.
just write something down on screenplay and then a famous actor says it. There's multiple steps, but somehow this got through all those filters. I can't remember the name of the movie. I'll have to look it up.
I'm very curious to know what this movie is.
But he plays kind of a gangster part in that movie. But at the time, I didn't know the guy's work that much. I saw it in like I think 1999 or 2000. I saw it when I lived in Seattle, and the way that he plays that part, I was like, this guy doesn't buy any of this dialogue either.
This is a trained actor who is a thespian and is like, yeah, cut the check. Look,
he describes he describes a payphone on the street as a derogatory name for a black man, and about punching him in the face and whispering in his ear, and you're just like, it's a payphone. You could call it like I call a guy. You don't need to go through this weird, strained metaphor.
No,
that doesn't make any like. I know you're trying to sound like tough gangster guy, but you just sound like a fucking lunatic, and not in like a fun way. Anyway, the guy's had a wild career, but I always think of that movie when I see him for some reason.
I'm very curious to know what that movie is.
It is
Miguel
not a
Nunez?
hidden gem.
Well, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it's just hidden, not a gem. I've also said Miguel Nunez, who plays Biscuit in this film, and has been, sublime in lots of films over the years. Also, if we talk about a hidden gem, I don't know if it necessarily made the cut here, but Juwanna Mann. Tell me, please, you know what Juwanna Mann is. Tell me you know about Juwanna Mann.
I'm familiar with Juwanna Mann. I'm familiar.
All right.
Shout
out Miguel Nunez for the Juwanna Mann. Oh, okay. I'll take being familiar with it. And then, of course, right, you get
it's no Tu-Wan Fu, thanks for everything, but it'll do.
Yeah, well, okay, fair enough. And Sanaa Lathan is in Love and Basketball the next year, which is, that's sort of like her breakout role. And again, another big, amazing movie. But certainly if you're talking about black cinema, right? Love and Basketball is up there as one of the, best films in certainly the last 25 years for sure. But just a phenomenal cast all around. Guy Torry's in this as well too. I'm so glad that you immediately, saw, and this is, I think, a testament to Eddie Murphy, where he has worked with all of these people, I think, to some degree at some point, right? There's also Oba Babatunde, who plays sort of the elder statesman in the prison, who's also in one of my favorite episodes of Dawson's Creek, where they had a black principal who shows up, who has a daughter, and they got to deal with racism at Cape Side. And let me tell you, buddy, the WB was not ready for Babatunde to come through. It's great television, but he's been there, silver screens, big screen, all that great stuff. I love you not being prepared for what references I'm going to throw out from these people's filmography right now.
No, I'm not ready for any of it.
Bernie Mac, Mr. 3000.
Of course I know Bernie Mac.
But do you know Mr. 3000?
Who would go on to be in Bad Santa and kill it? in Bad Santa, as
Yes.
far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
And also, I think I saw like most Bernie Mac films except for this one in his brief tenure. I saw the Ashton Kutcher one.
Did you see Mr. 3000?
I think I did see part of it, honestly. I think my roommates are watching.
Okay, you saw it on TV like I saw everything else.
Kind of from the jump, Martin Lawrence as a straight guy, but not the first few minutes. He's standard Martin Lawrence that I remember in that period of time. But then the moment he matches up with Eddie Murphy, and certainly after he gets in trouble, Martin Lawrence as the straight guy, as the like, not trying to be funny, not going along with any
not the guy
hijinks.
from Martin.
Going along with any hijinks. Doesn't want any hijinks of his own. Just trying to get home. I want to get back to my bank job. Like, interesting to watch him play the straight guy, opposite Eddie Murphy, who's just having the time of his life. Just be like, how insane am I allowed to be on this set? And they're like, we're waiting on you, buddy. You're 90% of the budget, so just chew the seed, eat it all up. And and Martin Lawrence has to sit there and be like, like doesn't have no reaction whatsoever.
But it's fascinating though, because as you say, you remember Martin. This is a couple years on the heels of the Martin sitcom wrapping up on Fox, right? Ends in, less than ideal fashions. The reunion was great. It was glad to see everybody doing it. Rest in peace, Tommy. Wish you could have been there, dog. But him and Tashina had the whole beef where Tisha Campbell was saying, look, like, there was a sexual harassment thing, right? It seems like they've patched things up recently, especially with the reunion. But like, he also was dealing with the thing that they reference in 30 Rock, right? Where Tracy Jordan is running around on the highway and saying, I am a Jedi. That was Martin Lawrence, like, in the street and having the whole like psychotic episode and all of that stuff, right? This is where he was I think this is like in 96. He was walking around talking about they're trying to kill me when he was brandishing the gun. And that was an exhaustion thing. And then he dealt with some other stuff. Like, Martin Lawrence is really kind of going through it off the screen during this period of time. And so it's kind of fascinating that you land on this piece of him being a responsible, straight-laced dude and the straight man when he's sort of been in turmoil, and he's still cranking out movies, right? Like, he did Blue Streak, he did A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, he did the sort of forgotten one that I think to Tim Robbins, Nothing to Lose, with the Coolio joint, I'll See You When You Get There. You know anything that I'm talking about right now? Two Americas, baby. It's Two Americas. Let them know in the comments section about the Martin Lawrence Coolio, I'll See You When You Get There MTV music video running on repeat. I saw Tim Robbins all the time. But it's kind of funny that he's in that role and capacity when, to the point of how this movie performed, right? If you had been seeing Martin, you have maybe seen these movies, but you've also seen him go through a lot of legal problems and potentially mental health, exhaustion, whatever it may be, right? So not crazy for him to all of a sudden be like, I'm just a man trying to get home and work my job.
Yeah.
Get these numbers in.
And like, who better to be a rock in that situation than Eddie Murphy? I don't mean Eddie Murphy's character, obviously. I mean Eddie Murphy, the person, who's like, yeah, man, I was, I've been, I've ridden some waves in my time.
Yeah.
I was the biggest goddamn thing on earth for like 5 years in the 80s.
And I'm still huge. I'm still a mega star, right? But I'm still
opening movies on my name alone. Why don't you come work with me? Let's go make a zany.
Let's go make a hit. Let's go make a hit.
Not a zany.
And you can see them making. It gets a little zany.
Very surprised.
It is kind of zany.
I was very surprised to look and find that written by two white dudes, directed by a white dude, Ted Demme.
Yeah.
I got two Ted Demmes. The Ref, Dennis Leary, and we don't speak of the other one, and Blow with Johnny Depp. I guess that's not a good.
Who is isn't Ted Demme? He's Dennis Leary's cousin, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't go into people's family tree when I'm researching. I remember Ted Demme, and I was like, Ted Demme, blow, and then they were like, and the ref, and I was like, I don't know why I didn't know Ted Demme did both blow and the ref. As far as comedies go, me, I love a dark Christmas film, and the ref and Mixed Nuts are both, as far as I'm concerned,
it's great.
Similar.
Right up there, a good ref, Scrooged, double
Scrooged,
viewing. Hey,
also
that's
fantastic.
That's a good combo night if you want some non-traditional Christmas films. To your point about Eddie and Martin, right? Eddie is doing, I think we talked about it. He's done Nutty Professor. He's done Dr. Dolittle.
And then he has his worst ever the year after this, Pluto Nash. Woo.
Yes, worst ever Pluto Nash. And also Holy Man. I also am curious how you laid on Bowfinger.
Unstink the place. And Bowfinger. I remember Bowfinger. Did see that.
That's the same year. That's the same year as 99, right? So that's another kind of hidden gem. If you're talking about Eddie Murphy,
that one did pretty well though, right? Steve Martin.
What are we defining as pretty well? I don't think Bowfinger did that well.
It did better than Life.
Well, we are going to settle this in real time here. Bowfinger did $55 million budget and $99 million at the box office.
So that's pretty close, because it used to be the big thing was if you can make $100 million, it's a hit. Like it's a bona fide hit.
Sure. I would still say
$80 million budget, 73 worldwide. So this one definitely was expected
to be a much bigger thing.
I am not surprised it didn't do great, and not in any year, frankly. But 1999,
Life or Bowfinger?
Again, Life
Both.
Specifically.
Both.
No, Bowfinger. I feel like is a zany com. It's the zany. He can always do zany, and that's always going to work for him. This one, without getting too, because we'll get into it, but. I don't think I've ever seen a comedy that backloads most of the hits.
The comedy?
In most of the hits, 30 minutes. I'm like laughing my ass off.
You have to get through.
But the hour 40 before that, I was like,
this is so funny. Because
we're going to tell some jokes, are we? We're not just going to kill every black man on screen indiscriminately, right? We're gonna have some jokes, a little bit of funny, and they were like, "Just wait, it all comes at the end. We're gonna pepper you up nicely at the end."
Jokes.
I've never seen
at the front.
I mean, usually comedies try to front load and it trickles afterwards.
I think there's a lot of funny stuff.
We put all the work into the last 20 minutes. As far as the comedy,
I can see your impression, and it's funny because Jillian had a similar observation of you while she was watching the movie, because I don't think she had ever seen it either, and she kept being like, "What is Mitch gonna say about?" She's like, Mitch gonna talk about this? Mitch talk about this? I was like, yeah, we picked it. We picked this movie.
I'm gonna talk about. I'm happy to talk about anything you want.
But I think it was very funny.
But I was like, I wrote, I would watch a whole nother movie that's just the two of them razzing each other as old men. I'd do that for 2 hours. That's a movie I want to see now. It's just Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy dressed up as old men, constantly razzing each other. I can't say I love you, so I'm just going to razz you constantly is endlessly funny. I love that. Everything about it. And wishing each other dead before they fall asleep. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
You want a black grumpy old man.
I'll take a white grumpy old man again. I liked both of those. I have both of them on DVD.
We're pitching them right now. Eddie, Martin, you looking great. I see you in the videos, dog. You looking like you're in impeccable health right now.
If there's anybody who does who's primed to do a classic white man movie, but with black characters, it's Eddie Murphy. He did it with Nutty Professor. He did it with Dr. Dolittle. Why not do a grumpy old man?
Why not complete the hat trick?
Why not do a grumpy and grumpier old man with Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence? For you. Absolutely, that's a hit. That's a hit all day. That's a hit. Then it just comes down to, would Martin Lawrence be the Walter Matthau or the Jack Lemmon? And I think
Dilemma's
Martin
one.
Lawrence would play a better Jack Lemmon and let Eddie Murphy be the Walter Matthau, but maybe it works better
I
the
would
other
kind
way.
of land on that side as well, but maybe we'll see, right, how they feel. To your point about the funny, I would say maybe this is, again, just different POVs, but there are some very funny moments that are also so heavy with the weight of what I feel like is the disconnect between the two Americas, right? When it comes to racism, of racism as this abstract hypothetical thing that's very bad and impolite to accuse someone of, versus a real world thing that will kill you, right? As Black people experience it. And that is encapsulated by the scene where they go into, the diner and they're driving, and Claude with the pie, right?
Yes, the pie
and
scene,
to
very
me,
good.
that is so hilarious. It's borderline slapstick, but it is also so uncomfortable because it is so real, right? Like Eddie's character is in no way, shape, or form going to Ray is never walking into a fucking place like that, right? Like the thing that was so funny to me is as they're getting into it and like, you could read so well, how come you didn't read that sign behind you? He's like, yeah, how come we didn't read the sign that says
I will grant you that's a very funny scene. I'm saying that as far as wall-to-wall
premise.
laughs, I'm saying wall-to-wall laughs you don't get until the last 20 minutes.
You feel that
you
way?
don't get them. I'm saying you get plenty of funny. You get plenty of funny little. Oh, here's a brief, just break from everything else. Here's a brief little 2 or 3 minute ha ha ha. But now we're back to darkness.
But now we're back.
But like the only time that it feels
we'll be right
like
back after it.
Yeah, the only time that it feels like a comedy, like a proper capital C comedy, is that last 20 minutes, where it is like they're both on point, they're both hitting lines, they're probably improvising the shit out of it, they're having fun,
Yeah.
I'm having fun. I'm not saying this is that movie, but I'm saying as far as when I'm thinking like, zany comedy, especially I'm thinking Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, who are both known, big personalities, charming, zany, play often crazy-ish, you know what I mean? Or at least outside of the norm, you know what I mean? They're charming enough to get away with being fucking batshit insane as characters. You don't see them be that for most of the movie until that last 20 minutes. That's largely what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I fully agree, but I see where you're coming from. I think you get a lot of that back and forth. I mean, to me, it's such a almost watching this is like, damn, I wish we got more of this specific pairing of the two of them, right? I think that's part of where you regret some of Eddie's choices in making the real PG oriented transition that comes with the 2000s and daddy daycare and all that kind of stuff, right? And really moving away from anything that feels like the Harlem Nights era, and until maybe some of the later stuff. But like, there's the whole, like, the pie scene is so great. There's also the scene, I think, where the cornbread scene, right? Like, that is one of the most classic scenes.
Love the cornbread scene, absolutely.
And so I think, to your point, there is this sort of, there's a comedic momentum there that exists the whole time of, even while they're sort of in the car and they're driving, right? Like, they're back and forth before they make the stop, and then they're in jail together, and just sort of, the tension that's there, them on the chain gang. He ain't working, boss, right? Like, there's comedy sort of punctuating itself throughout, but I think it is tonally very tough it sounds like, in some respects, because Jim Crow is still lurking, right? Like, you kind of really feel like it clicks into gear when it's in a more modern era, Like you like, after we talking like 70s, 80s. It's more modern style, right? When the facilities, we get the nice little montage and a march on Washington. Like before the black and white montage happens, Mitch is like, hey, this shit is funny, but also damn, son.
Yeah, I hadn't expected it to be first of all,
so heavy.
Neglecting the title. Because again, I go in blind and I shut my brain off. I was like, "Oh, they're literally going to spend life in prison." And what? Okay, that kind of takes a lot of the fun out of what I thought this movie was going to be. And I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know what kind of
look at the wacky adventures of these two guys going through life."
I thought, okay, maybe this is going to be a series of failed attempts to break out of prison for an hour, 50 minutes, or whatever it is. All right, I can get down with that. And it's not that. And I was like, okay, I don't know what the fuck it is then. And I enjoyed it. And it's like, it was, again, it works. it works with this cast very specifically. I think that only works with this cast. You need oozing charm to get through this.
Yeah, everyone has to really make the most out of their characters and make them very fleshed out and human, distinctive.
You can't half-ass this. You can't be like it would have ruined it to put as many jokes as I was expecting into it. It would have ruined the movie. So you needed this group of people to come together and make it this way for it to work. I'll grant that. And I don't need a wall-to-wall comedy. I'm just saying I didn't expect that.
The tonal expectations.
I didn't expect this to be what it was. And I'd never seen a movie. Basically, it does feel like somewhere along the way, like some editor or something must have been like, "Hey, boss, we got to lighten the load somewhere." And he's like, "Just throw it at the end. Just let those two guys razz each other. Don't even write the script. Let's just point a camera at each of them and let them just talk mad shit for like solid 10
you're
minutes."
You need it. Yeah.
Like, thank you for a little bit of ice cream at the end of this. But that doesn't take anything away from, again, charming movie and really doesn't shy away from the reality of what the situation is in a way that I had expected. One thing that I wrote down that I'm amazed by, I almost stood up and clapped. Asked my cats. They were also impressed. One thing that I was fully expecting, 1999, a comedy. I don't know necessarily Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence as far as their history with this. I feel like I don't really see a lot of like homophobia in their work, but I maybe I missed it.
I mean, Eddie's got some of the stand-up stuff from back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying in 1999, prison movie, et cetera, where you have one very much gay character and another, I guess, Django Leg is a kind of Annie Dorm in a Storm kind of character, as far as I could tell. Yeah, whatever. But specifically, Biscuit, very much coded gay. It never says that he's gay.
It is what
says people like me,
Biscuit.
Things like that. But
I think it's very obvious with the prison.
It's very obvious that he's gay. But I'm saying not nary a gay joke, never a joke at his expense, never a joke at him being gay. No one even says like, "Oh, stay away from that guy," or "Don't drop the soap around that guy." I expected 100 of those jokes and fucking none. And I was like, whew. Like, it's so very maturely handled, especially for 1999, that you have just a character who just so happens to be gay, really. That's not who he is. That's not the entirety of his character. He's a full-ass human. And part of one of the aspects of his character is that he's gay. And you didn't see that in 1999, certainly in a comedy.
Especially in a big-budget studio comedy.
Yeah, a prison comedy with a gay character. Yeah. Oh my God, it's just dropping a soap joke.
And
it's
set in
none of it. Right.
Set in 1945. So like we were saying 1999, but really you're talking about,
those characters would have absolutely, you would expect them to be real harsh on this dude. and constantly making those kinds of jokes, and nobody says a fucking thing. And I was like, what a breath of fresh air. And also, to the point of the movie, I think, is kind of the like, look, man, it doesn't really fucking matter. We're all in this together. It's us versus them. And whatever makes up us doesn't really matter. The differences between us are minuscule by comparison to what we're up against. I don't give a shit what you fuck, who you love, anything of this nature. And that was wholesome as shit. I cried. I'll admit.
Hell yeah.
When he took the run, I was like, oh, don't do it.
Yeah,
don't
okay, now a question. Now, see, I know it's been a long time since I've seen that scene, and it's heartbreaking. And I think having not watched it in a while and, seeing Ray, that, again, I think this is where Eddie is so great at the drama and comedy, right? The Dreamgirls nomination that he had, where, he out here, talking about what you out here. You got the best news in the whole place. You sad as hell, whatever. And he goes out and he does it. And then this incredibly tragic thing happens, right? But there's a very funny and yet it's tragic in that interplay, right? Where he's cracking jokes and you can really see and feel that weight. And then it is heartbreaking, right? Not just what happens to Biscuit, but then Jangaleg going after Biscuit and the sort of respect for, him and that relationship there. The other thing that I think, you were talking about and that I was thinking about, because to me, it's one of the funniest scenes, but it's also one of the most depressing scenes when you're talking about, black, folks in America and the progression and where this is in history, right? This sort of like 1945, no Civil Rights Act, what Jim Crow is happening here, Mississippi specifically, because I think we have to spend some time talking about that as a backdrop, is where Ray is reading the letter for the group, right?
Yes.
And
that was not. But they start out in 1932, I think, is when they first come in. So the 1945 is until like more than halfway through the movie. So I'm always in my mind thinking like the 30s. But yeah, like that. He's like, you guys don't read. Yeah, and he's reading the letter. Oh, yeah, and you. Oh, your sister, died. Jenny? No, not Jenny. Died. Oh, no, actually, also Jenny.
Yeah, you did. I mean,
and then at the end, he goes, anybody else got anything you want me to read? And they're all like, no. Probably not. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I guess not. Yeah.
Anybody else got something they want read? I can't blame y'all.
It is the perfect threading of the needle of, I got this big budget, black ass studio comedy written by these white dudes, directed by these white dudes, right? And how do I take something which, I know of that with family members and stuff, having folks who come from Louisiana and Texas and all these places in the deep South or whatever, where people did not have the ability to read, right? And access to those things. So yeah, like in 1932, nobody is able to really just read a letter really casually. But how do you make that funny? Like, that is a crazy ass.
Yeah.
To make that dynamic funny and not just like
needle to thread.
Right. And not a quick throwaway funny, but it gets progressively funnier, right? Like, the more he is telling you everybody in this family is dead. Yeah, the dog with worms. And I think I have a greater appreciation of that now, being older, of the levity that you can bring to the horrors of Jim Crow America and the still very prominent effects of literacy, lack thereof, being functionally literate, right? Making people demand birth certificates and shit when the state wasn't even recognizing you as a person, and now you're trying to take away my vote. Like, it's a very hard thing to make funny. And there are so many things that this movie accomplishes in not just making funny, but hilarious, right? Martin Lawrence with a shotgun in his face when she out here talking about the pies, right? He like, yeah, we don't, well, how much is it going to take to turn those into, like, it has no business being as funny of a movie as it is, but it's in the hands of such skilled comedians and auteurs, and the cast and every element is so perfect. And even the people who play scumbags and racists, right? Your Lee Emerys have their role to play and play it well to a T, where you absolutely want to see that comeuppance, right? You don't want to be him. You want to be old buddy who out here with Claude talking about, hey man, hey, I'm not your boss. I'm not your boss anymore.
Were we supposed to like the other borderline nice white character who the baseball agent,
the Negro guy? I think it's supposed
Negro
to be
League guy. Where he's like, I'm in a tough position.
Suspicious.
He's like, I'm on a tough position, but I could save one of you.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you're supposed to hate him. I don't know if you.
Yeah,
like
I didn't get I didn't get a hate vibe from him, but he was like, look, man, what do you want me to do? Like, I can get one of you out,
right.
but like, literally, what do you bring to the table? You gave him confidence.
Right.
Congrats. But
appreciate it.
I can't sell that to the governor.
Right. This is the level that I'm dealing with.
Diddly
right?
shit out there. Like, you ain't
I can get this guy there. Yeah. And that's fucking brutal to hear. But I also think that is kind of the scope when we talk about two Americas and then how they intersect, right? And you have a lot of white people who are Bull Connor and segregation today, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. You've got people who are abolitionists, right? Your John Browns of the world. But there's a whole swath of white people who, may not like nothing about this, but also exactly as you said, hey man, what I'm supposed to do? I can't help all y'all. I can help this guy. Right? Yeah. Like I do appreciate there's an unflinching kind of realness to that element of it, where it's like, I appreciate what you did, but I cannot actually help you out here. I will say we got the mixed company rule here in effect, so we're not I'm not fully quoting this movie here.
I don't get to quote more than about 3 lines in the movie, so
But I will say one of my favorite,
I can't even talk about the pie scene.
Yeah, you can't talk about the pie scene. Hey, can we do an expletive deleted version of the pie scene?
All I got is the when the shotgun comes up and Eddie Murphy goes, so it's 30 miles down the road, you say?
Yeah, 30 miles. But that's a lot of that movie is just there's these little bits and pieces of levity. There's these scenes that do it right, like you gonna eat your cornbread. Like to this day, there's gonna be consequences and repercussions. And then one of the greatest cut-tos,
one of my favorite lines in that whole scene is when they're all talking about the heinous shit they did to get into prison, and then they get to Eddie Murphy, and he goes, listen, man, when it comes to a motherfucker, it needs to get chopped up or taken care of, or like if he doesn't need to be around anymore, whatever it is to not make him be doing anything anymore, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. It's like he can't even think of ways to kill people. He's just like, whatever it is that gets him to not be a person anymore.
It's so great.
I'm gonna.
I mean, whatever it takes to make a motherfucker stop existing, I would do.
Hopefully, I get away with so a slightly black impersonation there.
It's great. I mean, to me, that whole scene is, I have forgotten the whole like build up to it or whatever. But it's so funny. And then like the baseball scene, right? We can't get right. There's so many great things where they're just yelling things, right? And I think, I can't remember if it's Ray Claude, but one of like, put some of that dum-dum strength on it. Like they just, like, just like for a 1930s, 1940s movie, I think kind of to your point, where they don't kind of go in on some of these things, like the guy who can't speak and Biscuit being openly gay, right? Like there are still very funny moments where they don't ignore who these people are and how they would interact with them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And again, can't get right, can't speak. They're like, all right, well, we got a nickname for you. No one mentions the can't speak thing ever again. Because like that doesn't matter. That's not a factor anymore. Right. You know what I mean? That's just one of the things that, like that's part of your personality. We'll take that in as the collective. Jenga Lego, fuck anything.
Yeah.
Biscuit can't live life the way he wants to, even if he got out tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But we just got to take that in. We got to take all these things in, and just like that's that. But we're still, it's us versus them.
What you did not expect was,
Everything
Ray,
that happened.
Ray and Claude, right? Yeah, everything that happened. I think specifically, right? Maybe to kind of button off that piece of the conversation where Biscuit, unfortunately decides I can't go out in the world. Is I can't remember if it's Ray or Claude, but women show up, the moon shines there, and says it's almost all right in here today. That's where I feel like the movie grabs you, where you have this sort of brief moment of happiness and hopefulness, and the yearning feels momentarily fulfilled, right? And then the most tragic, horrific thing that could possibly happen happens. And I think, I don't know how familiar you are with the prison system of the South, specifically.
Oh, I did my
Louisiana,
dissertation on it.
Mississippi.
I mean, are you kidding me? Did you not know,
buddy? I'm on several Reddit subthreads all the time.
Are you? You haven't read my four books on the matter. All of them, New York Times bestsellers, for God's sake.
With
the answer is not very. To take your question
I feel it in those
seriously,
thoughts. I feel it in those thoughts. No.
Not very. My exposure to it would be documentaries / movies,
right,
almost exclusively. So yeah.
So I would say, again, family, many generations down, Louisiana and all those places, right? You're very familiar with that whole overlap there, but I couldn't see any specific confirmation, but to me, because it's Mississippi, because of the timeline, right, it's almost got to be Parchman Farm Prison, which is like the most notorious fucking prison in Mississippi. Anytime you hear about terrible shit happening in a prison in Mississippi, it's most likely Parchman, right? That is the place where you just, Black Mississippi, residents make up almost 40% of the state, a little less than that, but there's 70-80% of the inmates in Parchman, right? There's just gigantic disproportionality. They done found that Parchman and violated every amendment and then some. Just run through the amendments. Probably the only one. What's the one where you can't quarter in nobody's house? 4th, 5th Amendment. You can. That's probably the only motherfucker that Parchman has not run afoul of. But it was very much so, right? It's a prison labor. It was, the chain gang stuff. They used inmates to do the trusty shooter shit. So they would arm inmates to do the thing, exactly happens to Biscuit, right? But it is just a horrible, horrible place. It is a horrible, inhumane place. And highly encourage you, if you're not familiar with Parchman, to check it out, to contextualize the through line, right? Of seeing this movie when these guys are older and they're riffing and they're having a good time, but you're talking about rat-infested cells, no power, the sewage is everywhere. And it wasn't Parchman, but I think this was in Georgia. There was a black guy who, he was basically eaten alive in his cell by, I can't remember if it was rats or mice or something, but literally eaten alive. These are the conditions that still exist today. So again, to pivot back, incredible to make a movie that has a multitude of uproarious, hilarious scenes, while then you're also getting these montages of look at all the people who leave this prison and go back out while these two guys are still here rotting away and completely unjustified, right? I also, before I kick it back to you for some very somber thoughts to share back to me, you have seen at least 23 Black Mississippians exonerated in the recent decades, and 4 white people. So y'all trifling down in Mississippi. The one that I do want to highlight, because there's a phenomenal podcast, In the Dark. Shout out, Public Radio, one of the best podcasts that came out. This podcast was also helping to change the conviction at the Supreme Court. They was killing it. Curtis Flowers. This dude was tried 6 times, son, for a quadruple murder, 4 times they convicted this man. We talking the Supreme Court going to Doug Evans, you raggedy racist bitch, being like, you so racist, we got to overturn the case. And this man went back and said, how can I get this man again? And the Supreme Court was like, you wildin', Doug. Curtis Flowers finally free, charges dropped, I think, a couple of years ago. He was in there for like 20-something years, son. That's what they doing to people in Mississippi. They doing the Curtis Flowers shit where even if you are innocent, even if you are Claude and Ray, they out here charging you again and again and again and again and again. You will never get out, even if you deserve to. Mitch, back to you.
Oh, I'm supposed to take that mantle and run with it. All right. Cool. Thanks for this torch. Thanks for just already melted down, burning my hand. Jesus Christ. I mean, I immediately thought, when that group of ne'er-do-well white boys come up on them and they're over the body of the dead black guy, I was like, oh, they're so fucked. Because I was like, they don't got fingerprint. Yeah. There's no DNA. There's no fingerprints.
Nothing.
It's just like, hey, you're a black guy next to a dead black guy. Yep, case closed. There's literally nothing more we can do. There's no more investigation we're going to bother with. We don't need to talk to anybody. We don't need to pull up files. We don't need to call anybody. We don't need to do anything. Paperwork is a single sheet of paper. Yeah, ain't you're not gonna hear anything else about this ever. Not gonna call anybody.
Incredible to me that there's and also right, like the subplot with Claude reaching out to the cousin, to the lawyer. Like, imagine you Claude's cousin and that request come through. Y'all want me to free who? For what? Oh, buddy. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't do nothing for you. You better get used to the chain gang, big dog. That's a wrap. Boy.
Yeah, because how even do you talk out?
What are you doing?
Yeah,
how do you prove that case? The only way you can prove that is waiting 40 years for this man, Lee Emery, to slip up, and then it's a real do or die situation. And also, like, you're not trying to prove the case, son. Ray wasn't trying to prove no damn case, right? Ray was ready to say, I am going to kill this man. Like, it wasn't no, I'm getting out of jail. You know what I'm saying? Ray was just like, that's my daddy's watch. Mm-hmm. It's time to die.
Yeah.
Bitch ass.
Like, what? You know I'm at the end of the road here.
What I give a fuck? Yeah, what I care? What I got to get out
literally,
for?
what can you do to me now?
You gonna kill me? Guess what? You've been killing me every day for 40 years. You've been killing me every day for 40 years.
You half expect one white guy, just for comedic effect, to be like, wait a minute, I thought it was innocent until proven guilty. You just found a guy next to a dead guy.
Absolutely not. Not back innocent. Then. I do love how they treated it. So it's so open and shut.
There's a dead guy, and there's a guy next to a dead guy who's not dead.
Right. Yeah, because you go,
this is what we got.
Well, that's crazy. That's preposterous. They certainly wouldn't just throw people. If that's absolutely what they do, they still do it. They still throwing people in jail like that. There's absolutely guys in there. There's plenty of Claude and Rays. If you went through Alabama, Mississippi, if you went through Parchment, if you went through Angola, in
our own
Louisiana,
goddamn president took out a goddamn full page ad in the fucking New York Times over that shit in the 90s.
Right.
For the Central Park 5. Based on, I know they did it. Why? Because they're black.
All of these things.
The fuck do you know?
I mean, this is also where, shout out to the Oscar nominated. Did it win? I can't remember if it won or not. But the Alabama Solution, the documentary that is specifically about the specific conditions in prisons of Alabama. Right. I think that's what's crazy is that you talking about the early 30s, the mid 1930s. Right. Like we almost 100 years removed from the time in which Claude and Ray was out here with Spanky's moonshine trying to take that shit across the Mason-Dixon line. And they still running shit in those prisons in almost the same way, right? Y'all still got chain gang. Y'all still got here with this hyper exploitative labor. It's not some far-fetched analogy. You could go on fucking HBO Max and listen to dudes in these prisons experience horrific retaliation when they decide to actually speak out about their conditions, right? Maybe they not putting them on a bunch of Coke bottles to stay in there all day and suffer in the hot sun, but they are absolutely treating them with the most inhumane style repercussions that you could possibly dream up.
This was a comedy film in 1999.
Bernie Mac is great. Bernie Mac is top notch.
Again, everybody is top notch. You have to be. You cannot come at this willy nilly. You
know what's so great?
Everything to this, otherwise it doesn't. And if it doesn't work, then it's like real bad. Like it's farcical, and then it's like a slap in the face to exactly whatever you're trying to accomplish here. So you kind of, I mean, it's a tight rope to walk, I would imagine. I mean, maybe not for Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, but I'm saying for most people,
as a production,
tight fucking rope to walk.
As a production, it's a brutal walk. I also would be remiss if I didn't highlight the homie Heavy D, who plays one of the young bloods who is digging the graves at the beginning. The super talented rapper, and I tragic, right? I think one of the things that this movie makes you think about a lot in the other side of America, with so many black men dying young, right? And Heavy D especially is a famous, sort of black man dying at 44, I think. And he had, I can't remember what his condition was, but there's all of these folks, right, who dying so very young and tragically, for a variety of reasons, but he was really killing it in terms of his acting career. He was, in Cider House Rules, I think. Also, he was on Boston Public. He popped up in Living Single when he was still kind of transitioning, but just a really, really talented dude who died way too early. And I think to your point, what I really loved and had forgotten about this movie is the blooper reel at the end, because a lot of movies try to bullshit you with blooper reels, and that shit's not bloopers. It's not a reel. Y'all filming this shit. It's real scripted. I'm trying to see real outtakes, son. I'm trying to see real off the cuff hilarity, shenanigans, tomfoolery, the whole lot. Right. And it's so funny. And I think also perfect that a movie with such weight and such substantive material, also you can see that is balanced with a very kind of joyous production, right? Like they are having fun. They're having a good time. I don't think it's disrespectful or, sacrilegious in any way, but there is a real joy to bringing this story to life and doing it justice that comes through when you see those moments, right? Like Eddie Murphy being like, I don't know why I'm on the cell phone in 1936 or whatever it is, right? And so I think as heavy as the movie is and as tough as it is, there is, a real good lesson here in, I think, the old Chris Rock adage of, you put the jokes and then you find a way to put a little medicine in there, right? And then you go back to it and you slide a little bit more medicine in there. I don't know if this is a little bit of medicine, so much as the jokes are maybe the medicine here, as Mitch's face would acknowledge.
That's what I'm saying. That's going to my point again, is I think that even after the credits roll, they're like, we need a little bit more. Do you have anything on the cutting room floor we can just throw in the end here? Like I want people walking out with a smile. I know they're all going to be holding tissues and shit, and they're going to have red faces, but give them the last few seconds. I just need them to giggle a little bit more. I know there's the final punchline of they live together. That's very funny, but let's give them a little bit more than well, yeah, we got probably 48 minutes of them fucking around. All right, let's just throw 3 minutes of it in during the credits. It's definitely we just a little extra, little sprinkle on top there at the end.
How, on the scale of 1 to 10, white cultural awareness, 1 is what's a black movie that white people just have no idea even exists? That's a good question. No, wait, come on, it can't be Pootie Tang. No, you name it. You name it movies that white people definitely know.
I'm gonna get you, sucker. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know why you're asking the whitest man alive.
That might be no. It'd probably be like Hollywood Shuffle. Only like the nerdiest, like Hollywood Shuffle. Maybe shout out Robert Townsend.
CB4,
maybe Five Heartbeats. Maybe the Five Heartbeats. I'm gonna say Five Heartbeats.
Okay.
Do you know Five Heartbeats? You can't know this movie. That's got to be the one. You can't know what I'm talking about.
Okay,
so it's got to be off your radar.
Excluded because I have seen that.
Yeah, anything that you are saying has automatically self-selected.
It's stricken from the record by virtue of Mitch knows what the hell it's about.
It's a beautiful apparatus that we've designed here. If Mitch is cognizant of this film, it cannot be on the spectrum as a polar touch point here. Okay, so white people aware of this movie's existence. 10, we talking Black Panther, right? Like, they know Wakanda, son. Y'all know, son. Coogler did the damn thing. 1, the Five Heartbeats. Y'all don't know nothing about that movie. You know what I'm saying? It's completely would just be like, wow, I didn't know this was a thing. So, where do you think life falls for white America in terms of cultural awareness 26 years later?
I mean,
maybe at its peak they knew more, but we don't got no TNT anymore.
I'm the wrong person to ask for.
No, you're the perfect person to ask because you didn't know that it didn't exist. So there's more of you than I think you realize.
But I'm saying like there's a lot of, we've been through this before. Like there's a lot of times where you mention a movie and you say what year, and I'm like, well, see, now I had a lot going on that year. 1999 was one of them years as well. There's a lot of those years where I was like, oh, I had a lot going on that year. So that's why I'm saying, irrespective of the racial element, there is a lot of like, I had no idea. I mean, again, the year that Jurassic Park came out, I didn't know anything about Jurassic Park until I'm in line.
All right, you don't need to know the year. We're talking just now. So general awareness. Even in the letterbox era, do we think that white America is moving like that?
I mean,
see what I'm saying? I'm talking about present day.
I'd put 4.
Take the span of the 26 years.
I'd put it at about 4. I'd put about 4.
You think 4? You think it's almost half of white America knows about life?
Oh, I would think 40% is, I consider way less than half to me, but then I'll go.
You think that 10% is that big? You think
I mean, I'm just thinking.
Look, this is your set. I mean,
you're allowed to rate you whatever you want. Because
rate your people how you want to rate.
1999 and everything else like that. You know what I mean?
We're talking about today. Your average white person walking around today.
That's true. Today. Okay. That's fair. I thought we were talking about like at the time.
No, I'm talking about right now.
All right. Okay. So
white people barely knew that movie came out in 99. Do you think they know now?
I would say
scale of 1 to 10.
Probably 3 then. 3 is a generous 3.
3. Generous 3. Okay. Because I would definitely put this as a 2. I definitely put it as a 2. The only reason it's not a 1 is because it's Eddie and Martin.
That's what I was getting.
Pushed it to.
Now, to your credit on the 2, Rotten Tomatoes is like, sorry, what? So Rotten Tomatoes is like, who's she? When you say life.
Did you mean the game of life? The board game? That was you looking up? Yeah, like, are you on the wrong website?
They're pulling up. It was asking like, do you mean this actor whose last name is like?
Yeah.
No.
See? That's where it is. See, I feel comfortable giving life a 2.
To that credit, I would say, okay, maybe 2 is closer. And that Rotten Tomatoes doesn't even, they're just like, it's not on the radar.
We need to figure out what your version of it is for white black movies, right? See, you asking me, do black people know about these white ass movies? Do black people know about these white ass movies on a scale of 1 to 10? What's your Black Panther 5 heartbeat spectrum? You got to come up with that, right?
During the pandemic, I read Frederick Joseph's The Black Friend on being a better white person. And I cried. It was a really heartfelt book, nonfiction, that kind of thing. But was really interesting. It's one of those things eye-opening for a white person. Like, oh, I had no idea. But one of the things that struck me, and you immediately came to mind when I read it, was that he was referencing a conversation he had with other black friends of his, where he said, like, we know pop culture because not only we got to keep up with your ass, like your white ass culture, but like we've got to hang on to our own. So we have to know everything. We got to know
full spectrum.
We got to know a deep cut. We got to know a deep Jay-Z cut from 30 years ago. But we got to know that Dolly Parton is the singer for Jolene.
I got to be down for fucking Steely Dan too. You know what I'm saying? I got to be all that.
You got to
shit.
know. You got to apparently keep your pop culture lenses squeaky fucking clean. So it's real hard for me to go like, what would be? So what's like the most prominent? Probably a Star Wars.
Like, yeah, I was say like you need a Star Wars, like an ET, but it has to code very white, right? Like it has to code. It can't code multicultural. Can't be like Crash. It's got to be a very white guy movie.
Star Wars is a very white guy movie, or Indiana Jones, let's say.
The original Star Wars is a very 100%. I would give you white ass movie for sure. So, especially considering the way the fandom treats non-white characters. Shout out John Boyega. They did you dirty, dog.
And they were too great to the women in that either. It's straight white male.
Yes, club. I'm not trying to neglect anybody. Who was it? Who was the Asian the lady who they were? She was like a pilot or something.
She got done.
Kelly
way
something.
Dirty. She was killing it in those movies. That poor girl.
Yeah, I mean, again, the fandom. I think to your point,
it was
Star Wars. It feels like a very good.
It was hard for me. Here. Like I remember seeing the viral clip of John Boyega watching the trailer with his family, and they were like, "That's you," and he's like, "That's me," and like watching them jump up on the couch out of excitement. And I was like, this, like, I want to see the movie more than ever. Like the joy, it's just heartfelt. I'm like, oh my god! And then to see fucking shitty white dudes rip on that video, I was like,
Kelly Marie Tran. That's who we're.
Do you have no fucking soul? Like this man. Fuck you. Like if you don't get like a little tear in the eye watching this man with his family, it hurts me to think about. Just like I'm tears of joy in my head right now, just thinking of that clip. It was so
perfect,
glorious,
perfect white ass movie.
Yeah, and then
everybody knows.
Then I would say,
what's your one?
We probably also covered Brazil might be on the one.
Honestly,
but I don't know if there's anything. But the thing is, in difference as far as like the Two Americas thing, I don't think there's anything that's so white that only white people know about it. You know what I'm saying? You'd have to make it.
No, I think there's definitely for sure some things like that.
Like probably
because I will say
my car was not big amongst the black community, but I wouldn't. It's not like you're not aware of that movie.
To me, the best example of this is the Chappelle Show sketch where they do the wife swap, and he is the black husband in the bathroom looking at the People magazine version that they have, and he goes, "Renee Zellweger." You know what I'm talking about here?
I'm loosely familiar, yeah.
You're familiar with that? Like, that is what I'm talking about. Like, you are out here overestimating Renee Zellweger's impact in the black community to the point that this some random old black man is like, Renee Zellweger? Who? Huh? Like, that's where Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
Huh?
But I mean, again, I don't know how in the white people space, you know, if I say Brazil,
we're not worried about show. Yeah, Brazil has more levels of even like hidden gem cultural obscurity, but still there's, you know, nerds and auteurs and etc. who talk about it and whatever people, right? Like if you follow white Hollywood, as we're delineating it, if you follow this black famous, white famous, this, you know, dichotomy, you have heard people reference this. You know that it is maybe a thing that exists even if you haven't seen it or whatever, right? There's at least loose familiarity as you are with my wife swap example.
Let me present this in a slightly different analogy that I think might work. A different framing of your question. A black dude walks into the Criterion closet. He's not pulling out Brazil. Is that fair?
That's fair.
You watch those Criterion clips. Those are fun to watch.
Yeah, I see that.
People are in the Criterion closet and they're like, "Oh, you've got blah, blah. And by the way, the Brazil I have, my 3-disc set is the Criterion collection, so I know it's in there. And I'm saying I don't think if I went through and watched every black person in the Criterion closet, I bet you not a one of them pulls Brazil. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I think this would be very limited. I will say, the other thing, because we're kind of touching on this a bit, right, is now that we each have our own spectrums here, we had a conversation with the homie Eric Alexander, right, and her husband, is it Tony Purrier?
Yeah.
And shout out both of them. But that conversation we got to talk about, which I think now has become more of a commonly known fact. Maybe it's not. The, friends sort of directly borrowing from Living Single the next year and making a couple of adjustments, right, to that archetype. But also, as we talk about, Black America, True America's 1999, this movie comes right as you see that pivot away we talked about with her of all the networks like Fox and UPN and the WB just beginning to purge the black shows off of the air, right? You're moving away from Martin and Living Color, Living Single, New York Undercover, right? Moesha, Girlfriends, The Parkers, One-on-One, The Hughley, Steve Harvey Show, all that stuff gets chopped up. And then it's the era of, Dawson's Creek, and all that stuff doubling down on the WB. And then the CW comes and they take the whole WB aesthetic.
Is this post Bernie Mac as well?
This is all post Bernie Mac. Yeah.
I'm saying, did Bernie Mac's show also get the chopping block around that time or no? I don't.
Well, Bernie Mac show would have been one of the few that came out because it would have been early 2000s.
Okay.
So this would have been, Bernie Mac kind of becoming prominent and kind of getting in while the door was closing. But
so in life, he was not a known quantity in life.
No, Bernie Mac would have. No. He was as a stand-up guy, yeah, because you had the Kings of Comedy.
Yeah, but as an actor, he was not a known quantity no. For the head of Paramount, he's like a Bernie who?
Bernie who? No, that's pure stand-up. And I think actually now that we're talking about Kings of Comedy would have been the next year, right? That's a 2000s thing.
Yeah, so yes, he was not a known quantity in 99, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're like, Jenga Leg, Bernie Mac? All right, man, whatever. Eddie Murphy wants it. Sure, I'll sign it. I don't give a shit. Eddie,
whatever Eddie
look
says,
at these dailies. Yeah, he's great. He's doing great. Yeah, Eddie's great. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're looking at like UPN is basically dismantled, right, in less than a decade from when this movie gets released. So it's just kind of interesting that, again, we talk about all these different things, and now that we have these spectrums and points of references, but you have this sort of apex of black entertainment, cinema, movies, television shows, and that's before you get into, some of the other movies that came out that year in 99, right? Like The Best Man with Taye Diggs and Nia Long and, Morris Chestnut, right? Like there's a lot of great stuff happening on the black side of Hollywood that a decade later, flash forward, has been systematically dismantled, and then flash forward to today, and a black man can't even fly a fucking plane. Black man, black woman, black person. We can't do nothing without being accused of being a fucking, affirmative action thing or whatever, right? Because that's how poisonous the atmosphere and environment has become.
And I mean that we had when you and I were still in a group chat with a couple other white fellas. I distinctly recall bringing up, I'm reminded. This is not what I brought up in the thing, but I'm reminded there was an Adult Swim show that lasted for 2 seasons called Frisky Dingo, and in the second season, 2 of the characters are running for president against each other, and there's a guy on one of the advisors to one of them is a black guy named Tequil, and he's like a kind of a stand-in for like a Tupac, but a little more respected culturally because he was more like a movie star kind of guy. Anyway, there's a white dude in the show goes, I gotta say it, I am a racist, but you have won me over, and it's just kind of that.
didn't see that.
Like, I love that.
I need to see that. I need to see Peter Griffin. I need to see Peter Griffin's acknowledgement of. I came into this skeptical, but put the calipers away.
The reason I even think about that is that, like, growing up, I had a racist father, but I didn't really know that I had a racist father because we watched TV a lot together. And we watched, The Cosby Show. My dad was basically Bill Cosby. They had very similar style of humor. And we listened to Bill Cosby himself on road trips constantly. Like, there was never a remark ever once in my house. My dad never was like, that Bill Cosby's a funny black guy. Never came up. We watched that show. It was just another American family doing funny shit. And it didn't. And I listened to Shel Silverstein, things like that. And it's just like, it wasn't a factor. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm the wokest of woke.
You're not colorblind. Yeah.
It's just that, like, look, it wasn't a factor. The Cosby Show, and I'm not, obviously, fuck Bill Cosby all to hell, but as a cultural staple, as a sitcom, it was not a black show. It was a show. It was an American family, a hardworking American family, and a giant family at that, and a cast of very good characters, all of them phenomenal comedic actors, timing out the wah, and nary a white guy really in sight, but it didn't really occur to me. You know what I mean? It wasn't until, for example, another example, it was a few years ago that I was watching some retrospective of two black people on YouTube talking about Coming to America. And one of them said, I was talking to a white friend about this movie. And I said, it's funny that the only white character is working the fry station. He's really proud of it. Like, that's his highest station he could get in this black movie, is the fry station guy. And my white friend goes, no, there's other guys. There's other white guys. And he goes, name one. And he goes, and he's like, it didn't occur to him that there was one white guy in that movie. And watching that, I was like, it didn't occur to me that there's only one white guy in that movie. Like, you had to point that out to me.
Right. Shout out Louis.
It did not. Well, actually, technically, there's three white guys if you take the cameo at the end.
Okay. Yes, you're right. Yes.
I'm going to leave that aside because that's a joke for people who know that movie. But that's what I'm saying is, like, I think the deep annoyance amongst 1,000 of them, but the deep annoyance with this bullshit on the right where they try to pretend that, like, oh, well, you're just giving people things for free because they're marginalized, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're the motherfuckers that are calling attention to this. No one gives a shit. No one would give a shit. We were at a point for a little while there. And I'm not saying racism was over during the Obama years, but I'm saying that it seemed like culturally that we didn't talk about. We didn't really, hey, there's a gay character in this show. No, there's a character in this show.
There was a openness for what we would call a post-racial. I don't know how real that was, but I think
I think what you're seeing specifically with race. I'm just talking about, like, diversity in general was so much a given that it wasn't
ingrained. Yes,
it wasn't a novel thing, and
it didn't feel like we were trying to establish it again. Yes,
exactly. Yes. We weren't trying. No one was trying to score brownie points and shit like that.
That leads perfectly into maybe my, I guess, concluding thoughts for both movies, which I don't know if we rated. I gave Life 4 stars as well on the old Letterboxd.
I'd be happy to give that. Yeah. I don't rate things, generally speaking.
I know you don't rate. I know you don't rate. Y'all don't.
I'll do it on here as like a thing.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
By and large, I don't really. My Yelp is review free, but I've been on there for 30 years.
Well, good. Yeah, same. I think both movies really are in many respects about systems, how they operate, who are they designed to reward, who is deserving of the systems and how they function, right? And then what happens when someone decides to intervene in, the trajectory of that system, right? And I think to this conversation, it's very interesting to see someone like a Tracy Flick where someone decides the system is, she's not deserving of the system, right? Which happens to a lot of Tracy Flicks who you argued here has done nothing to actually deserve this level of treatment or scrutiny other than just be kind of annoying, in which there are absolutely worse fates in this world, right? Ray and Claude, wrong place, wrong time. But I think also seeing how they end respectively, right? With Tracy sort of escaping direct consequences to many degrees and the system correcting and working itself out for her. And
I think some young girls would do well to thank their lucky stars that the rest of the school didn't find out about certain indiscretions she got into with certain absent-minded older gentlemen.
Right. Yes. Weaponizing all of that stuff against her. Right. Whereas, again, even if Tracy Flick is a willing participant, she is still very much so a victim by any way that you want to slice it, just given the multitude of dynamics and unseemly things that old boy Dave was perpetrating there. But the system sort of self-correcting.
And briefly, we didn't get to it, but I did briefly want to say that mom, she's very briefly on screen at all, but the entirety of the mom can be summed up in the one moment after the election where her mom goes, maybe if you'd taken my advice, we would have come out differently. And you're just like, oh, right. I see. That's how you get a Tracy Flick. Okay. I got it. Okay.
Sure. I think also, though, the other piece of it is that Tracy Flick comes out and still is on the other side of the system, right? Like, that's the juxtaposition of like, okay, you get a Tracy Flick, but you are never truly under the boot of the system. Like, you are able to punch back in a way that a Ray and Claude never can. And it's not to say that there are not disproportionate outcomes or whatever, right? But I think when you're sort of looking at the intersection of all the things, the race and the class and the gender or whatever, right? And the two Americas and all that, what happens to a system that decides that a Tracy Flick isn't deserving? What kind of resources can a Tracy Flick marshal versus a Ray and a Claude, right? And even a non-Tracy Flick in the world of life, but the warden or whoever's daughter getting impregnated by Can't Get Right, and what kind of resources can she marshal to navigate a world where that baby definitely don't look like your pappy or your grandpappy, right? And so I think that's to me is a very fascinating through line of which movies are on which people's radar and all that kind of stuff. And it makes sense. I think Election is great. And Tracy Flick as an archetype explains a lot of different things as a skeleton key. But also, there are Ray and Claudes among us right now in all types of ways politically in a different way than we would discuss a Tracy Flick.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Very, very different. Yeah. Well, it's also it's interesting because she does have that speech where she basically Paul is her Tracy Flick, man who did not deserve to have any level of success.
Yeah, Tracy Flick has a Tracy Flick.
This is a rich kid a big dumb jock rich kid who decides he's going to butt into student body government.
And truly,
you didn't put in the work, motherfucker.
Depending on where you place Tracy Flick on a political axis, she very easily codes to a lot of people, and Paul is her Donald Trump, right? I mean, if she is Nikki Haley, she's absolutely still looking at him like Donald Trump in the last primary. If she's Hillary Clinton, she's looking at him like, you are fucking Donald Trump, right? Like no matter where you put Tracy Flick on your political assessment for the United States of America, she has a fucking guy who she's like, this fucking unprepared, born on third base ass piece of shit who thinks he deserves this, right? Oh, he's and unlike fucking Paul and Chris Klein, who is a nice, genuine guy for the most part, right? Like this is a loathsome creature who deserves nothing but all the bad things in life happening to him and nobody else but him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and that is to me, that's the key part of that is like he's just like just loafing through life. And then Mr. McAllister is like, maybe run for, and he's like, I guess. Like, he wouldn't have done that on his own. He doesn't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean? But he's you go, well, he's a sweet guy. He's not hurting anybody. He has no idea.
The Tracy Flicks of the world. Yeah. The system
he's
can
he's
grab you and do
unaware of
whatever it
anything
wants.
going on at all, really.
Yeah.
Outside of what's directly in front of his face, anything 5 feet away, he's completely unaware of.
We got another episode coming up on deck, a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This next episode is going to be a palate cleanser, where Teddy and I are going to discuss.
After taking y'all to Parchman, we go clean it up a little bit. Go watch the Alabama Solution, and then listen to this next episode. It's gonna be real feel good.
I think between serialized deep dives, we might take little breaks and have little one-off things. And so this first one, Teddy and I are each going to discuss an album that made us who we are today, woke us up in a way. So that should be an interesting discussion.
I will say, just as a note, right? We also doing the music because it's a beyond just movies. We talked a lot about movies.
Oh yes,
but we doing movies and music and TV shows and books and live events and the whole cultural spectrum. So strap in.
Hands Across America is not safe from our spectacles. We're going to get into that someday.
Not at all. We talk about it. Sure, absolutely. So strap in, and you will find out the albums next time in the tease, because we're back to not telling you things. Sorry if you got used to that. We told you movie titles for a couple episodes, and now we yanked that shit back. Sorry about that.
Do you want to? Well, say we could. On the next one, we'll tease. No, because we're still debating. We're gonna do a franchise deep dive.
I thought we figured that out. You out here pretending like we don't know. We know.
Okay.
You know what it is.
We already decided. All right.
You know what it is.
Our next series of episodes will be about the franchise Toy Story.
We're getting into it. Toy Story 5.
It'll be a lot of first time watching for me on that one.
You ain't never seen none of them?
No. I've seen the first two in their entirety and parts of 3, I think.
Okay.
Because I've had friends with kids and stuff like that, and my family over in Phoenix, there's all
a captive audience.
Kids.
I understand.
So like every time I'm out there's a Toy Story or other on the TV. So I've seen pieces.
There it is. But before that, you'll hear music of our respective youths, adolescents, teen angst.
The teenage angst variety. Yes.
The teenage angst episode is coming. Fantastic.
Teenage angst awakening version. So that'll be fun.
Can't wait.
All right.
Can't wait.
Take care, y'all.
Until the next time.